Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
They want more than that. Touchdown, Baylor Bears. Tyquan Thornton.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Here, came back along now for Radulov. Radulov moves, got it all over to Klingberg. Klingberg, shot, and ricocheted in. It is Janmark turning it in, and it's 3-2.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
And then we won a championship in 3 years, and so all of a sudden, wham, it's a miracle on the horizon.
Yeah.
But Smoke, it wasn't a miracle.
It's hard work.
It's hard work and belief in putting the right people in the right spot at the right time and surrounding yourself with the right people.
Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go. This Sikkim 365 Radio inside the broadcast center, inside where yesterday the legend, the icon, royalty of Baylor, Grant Teaff, spent a good hour or so with us. You just heard part of that and the reaction, of course. Anytime Grant Teaff speaks, it's kind of like the old E.F. Hutton commercial. People listen. And a lot of you with the feedback on the site, on Twitter, on the various social media outlets other than that as well. Paul Catalina to my left, Craig Smoke to my right, David Smoke, both CJ and Armstrong running the mothership today. And here we are on a Tuesday, and we ran Dave Aranda yesterday, my one-on-one with him, and one of the questions that I asked him was about whether or not, theoretically, if he ever got into a situation, if he had one more player that he could add back to the current roster who was under suspension or in some cases suspended for a game or what, would he bring that player off suspension to fit the number you need for the Big 12 protocol and guidelines to play a game? Baylor faced that on Friday. Joe Klatt has mentioned that. He was on Clay Travis and discussed kind of how it all went down Friday. We alluded to it on Friday. We discussed it yesterday. Mack Rhoades will join us today at 4:20. And who we have on Thursdays at 4, Max Olson from The Athletic, did a story about the behind the scenes. And yes, Houston is frustrated, as they should be. However, here's Dave Aranda. My question for him, and then come back, Paul and Craig, you guys respond to it. I want to make sure that you understand what he did here. He could have changed his values. He could have maybe made a decision that maybe undermines integrity. I've seen some of the chatter on the boards, and that doesn't mean just because it's on the boards but there was like, man, you got to play the game. You got to take a player off suspension. Here's Dave Aranda yesterday.
If you have a position group and somebody can't play because they have been told they can't play, they've done something where they've been suspended. But if that player was to play and allowed you to play, would you ever think about changing your mind, or do you have to stick to what you believe in as a coach and as a disciplinarian?
Yeah, I would stick to what whatever the rules were and whatever we believe in and whatever we said before, And so I think there's going to be situations that arise, and I think this is one of them. There's been a few situations that have come up lately where right away I think to myself that, hey, this is all about like who we are. This is all about, it's bigger than whatever it is, and sometimes it's hard to see past that, but it's bigger than this. This is about who we are, and I think getting those things right all the time is important, but I think especially early.
All right, so that's Dave Aranda. Yesterday, my opportunity every Monday to visit with him. It would have been very easy to have a player who's suspended that if you activate him and then you can play the game, to do that. And then again, with what Baylor has been through the last few years, that at some point down the road, win the game or not, that the story would come out, oh, they took a player off suspension. I thought they have changed. What they did was stick to the original decision, no matter some of the force of, like, you could have played the game. Why didn't you?
Yeah, they stuck to their guns, and that's impressive. They stuck to what they had to do, and, whether it's just a one-game suspension or it's one of those things, we've seen teams around the country move suspensions around based on, what they have to do or what they want for a certain week. And you know what? Like, if you're going to be suspended for a game, suspend them for that next game. Whether, it's funny. You've seen some teams like, okay, they're playing Florida Atlantic in week 2, but they're, or week 3, but they've got, Alabama in week 2. Well, they're suspended for the Florida Atlantic game, but not for the Alabama game. No, suspend them for the next game, whoever that is. And so I admire Baylor for sticking to their guns and doing what they had to do.
Yeah, I just did the right thing, like, ultimately, and it shouldn't be that hard of a decision, and I hope it wasn't that hard of a decision for Dave Aranda and company. I mean, the guy suspended, whoever, we may be referencing Xavier Newman, for example, suspended for the upcoming game. That's the upcoming game. Whether that's Michigan, Ohio State, or Florida Atlantic, they're suspended for the upcoming game, and, yeah, it gets a little murky when you look at the fact that maybe this one guy who's going to serve a punishment at some point makes the difference in you playing your first game or having to wait another 2 or 3 weeks, which, we're still waiting to see how this Saturday goes, if it goes. But, yeah, I mean, I do give them credit, but it's the right thing to do. So, that's what you should do.
All right, so Max Olson today in theathletic.com, and he'll join us on, of course, Thursday at 4. He did allude, or he did refer to our interview with Dave Aranda and that exact quote. But then here's also what happened. Joe Klatt, who's Fox Sports, who's had back-to-back games, La Tech and then Houston, canceled right in front of his eyes. He mentioned this. This is from Joe Klatt. He could have gotten to the threshold if he were to unsuspend one of their players. He was unwilling to do that. He said, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to unsuspend a player on my first game as I'm trying to build something here. I thought, you know what? That's pretty commendable for Dave Aranda. That's from Joel Klatt. So your thoughts about it, I have seen where some of you have said, no, that's the right thing to do. Paul mentioned to me earlier today when we talked for a second, the right thing to do is the hard thing to do. And so your thoughts about it, 254-339-1122 is the number to call. CJ and Armstrong are awaiting to take the calls. Paul as well here on Sikkim 365 Radio. Paul, let's go.
All right, we've got Johnny is on the phone, and he wants to talk about Big 12 football. Johnny, thanks for your call.
It's Johnny, Paul.
Oh.
How you doing?
Doing great.
Wonderful. Thank you for taking my call, gentlemen. Sorry, I'll let others comment on the subject you just broached. What my question is this the year for Texas to travel to Lawrence, Kansas, and pull off the upset?
Oh, my God. Oh, boy.
It's a great way to start.
I think they would hope so.
Johnny. Wow. Here we are, this intense conversation about what to do, what's right, and Johnny throws a Seminole Florida State spear right on the 50-yard line.
Yeah.
The turf war right off the top.
Thanks for your call, Johnny.
Thanks, Johnny. Appreciate the call.
Yeah.
I will say this. We have seen already the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, very few games played, but we've seen already some games that make you go, wow, what's happening here? And we could, and here's the thing about Kansas. Not anybody listening might have respect for what they've done or who they are because they got beat by Coastal Carolina. And Coastal Carolina could beat some other teams as well who are Power 5. But they've played a game. They've played a game and they've had a week to work on whatever went wrong, and a lot did. And I'm telling you right now, you ask any coach, the biggest difference between a team is after you've played your first game and then the time you have before you play your second game. Even though KU is not very good, we don't know what Baylor is, and don't be surprised if this game gets into be maybe a street fight at some point.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why I've said a few times now that this is not a season where I would be placing money all that often in Vegas on outcomes, because it's too up in the air as far as what teams have available, what they're feeling like, what they're suffering from, what their mindset is, and we've just seen such limited action. So, even if this game goes off on Saturday, I don't walk into it saying, well, this is an easy W. I have no idea what Baylor football looks like. We did not get any spring practices. We did not get any availability because there was no availability to be had because they didn't have spring practices. So that was out the window. We've gotten no access fall camp-wise outside of our Zoom meetings. But, that's totally different from what you get with, actually in person and getting to see the 5-10 minutes that you might get in an open period. Getting none of that doesn't give you much of a feel. So, yeah, we have no idea what this team actually looks like. What we hear sounds good, but Kansas has played a game. I'm sure they're chomping at the bit to get rid of that embarrassment, that bad taste in their mouths from losing to Coastal Carolina. I don't know if they're going to turn into a team that's really all that competitive, but based on the little that we've seen, you got to go in there with a little bit of precaution for sure.
All right, Gunny, thanks for the call. We're working on a technical glitch on that to see if we can make sure that when you call 254-339-1122, that was Gunny, not Johnny. So we're working on that. As far as that's something we should know. And next time you call, we'd love to get feedback from you, 254-339-1122. When we come back, 254-339-1122, had you been in Dave Aranda or Mack Rhoades' shoes, what would you have done if you could have unsuspended a player and allowed you to reach the threshold of who you needed at a certain position group, and you would have then been able to play the game? You might have still been down numerous starters, and you might have also put your quarterback in jeopardy in the opening game of the season. And then again, you might have won the game, and then let's say, in 3 or 4 days or 5 days, the story comes out that they unsuspended a player to play the game. You know how the media can be. That's our profession. Sometimes they make me sick. And then there's, they played with a guy that was suspended for the first game. Haven't we been down that road before? 254-339-1122. Back with your calls. 254-339-1122. Sikkim 365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe since 1943. Man, that's a long, long time. Customer service, you have to have it. You've been in business 77 years. You have to have the ability to have a relationship with every single one of your customers that they want to not only come back because they trust you, but also because they love the product, and that's the second thing. Pioneer Steel and Pipe has fantastic product, amazing product. Product that has withstood the change of all of what's happened with the economy, change in technology, change in what steel and pipe and whatever else, and how it's been made. They offer metal building and components, metal roofing, structural pipe, flat iron, angle iron, square tubing, including beams and channel iron. I'm talking this is heavy-duty stuff. High-quality materials to make sure that if you're going to build a metal building, the bids are structurally sound, because sometimes competitors can bid a little bit lower, but the structure, the sound, the product is not quite as nice. It might be cheaper. So you want that structural integrity. Often they have to turn around. They will turn around the fastest turnaround time when it comes to finding metal building orders for what you need. And they will also offer you the reliable contractors to help you with any kind of suggestions on what you're doing with the project. Large pipe inventory giving you many options, building a nice fence or entryway. Pioneer Steel and Pipe since 1943. Great product, great family, great business, great people, and great customer service. In Waco and Bryan, open Saturdays 8 until noon, pioneerboys.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Lots of feedback from a lot of you when it comes to the question we asked at the start, the comment from Dave Aranda about theoretically if you had a starter who was suspended, but if you unsuspend him, that gives you an opportunity to hit the threshold of a certain position. And Joel Klatt, I mentioned the quote on Clay Travis. A lot of you are responding to it, and we appreciate that. Both the text line open, 254-339-1122, and the phone number to call, which Gunny did, 254-339-1122 as well. This one here from Girl Friday 85. Aranda made the right call. Hopefully by sticking to his guns, he is teaching a life lesson. In the military, when one in the unit messes up, the entire unit gets punished. This sounds extreme, but the lessons learned will result in good decisions later on. Also on the text line, many of you have responded. In fact, T-Rex, I unsuspend and deal with any backlash that comes my way. I choose to suspend him. I choose to unsuspend him to benefit the entire team. He can serve his suspension next game or change punishment. And there's a little bit more. We'll get into that as well. Matt, I'm glad Dave stuck to his guns, but it was best for the team. What does he do if this happens, though, the week of the Big 12 title game? If we ever get there, does he not play?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, you kind of set a precedent now to where if a situation like that does present itself, you can't really say, well, you know, that first time I decided to stick with the suspension, but this time we're playing Auburn for the national title, and I got to have everybody on board, and he can serve the suspension next season or something. Yeah, I mean, you kind of put a line in the sand now of where you're going to sit on issues like that. And I get the argument for delaying the suspension, just for the simple fact that you would be able to play a game. But, I look back on last week, and I wrote a piece for the website on just Aranda and kind of where they are right now, where they're sort of in this just wait-and-see mode, basically. And, this whole not playing thing, I mean, this could drag on for a while, you know, if they're not careful. I mean, they have no game scheduled after this weekend for 2 more weeks. Now, in theory, maybe you could finagle something to where you play next week, which was an open week, and that's why you have these open weeks, is to potentially make up games. So, you know, maybe something like that were to happen. But maybe not, because so far it's all been getting games organized but not actually playing them. So, yeah, at some point push comes to shove and you got to play a football game. I mean, that's why we're all here, right? So, you know, that's a tough decision, but I still think Dave Aranda made the right one.
Much more to come as far as more feedback from you as well. 254-339-1122, the text line brought to you by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, and also the phone call line as well, which we started off with right off the top. Here's a couple of more, Paul. And you guys, you got the text line up as well. This is from the 254. I agree with Coach. Has to learn from mistake. Win as a team, lose as a team. However, easy to do against a team like Kansas.
Yeah, and depending on who the player is or what the suspension is for, I mean, I think that also comes into play. You know, if it's something that's like, you know,
missing a practice,
right,
being late for a team meeting,
then maybe you go, you know what, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe you do that. I don't know. I'm not a coach, obviously. Certainly not at the level of Dave Aranda. But if it's something a bit more serious, something that, you know, is a bit on the more extreme side of trouble, then I don't think you can maybe afford to, you know, suspend or to not suspend a guy based on that. I think that has to come into play, too.
Do you have that comment again? Let's replay it again. This is Dave Aranda yesterday during the interview that we have one-on-one on Mondays.
If you have a position group and somebody can't play because they have been told they can't play, they've done something where they've been suspended. But if that player was to play and allowed you to play, would you ever think about changing your mind, or do you have to stick to what you believe in as a coach and as a disciplinarian?
Yeah, I would stick to what whatever the rules were and whatever we believe in and whatever we said before, you know. And so I think there's always going to be situations that arise, and I think this is one of them when you know, there's been a few situations that have come up lately where right away I think to myself that, hey, this is all about like who we are. This is all about, it's bigger than whatever it is. And sometimes it's hard to see past that, but it's bigger than this. This is about who we are. And I think, you know, getting those things right all the time is important, but I think especially early.
All right, more from the Willis Law Firm chat room, which is also rolling. From Burn M.I., Bear in Michigan, I think it would. Would you stick to your guns for the Big 12 championship game? I would not take someone off suspension to make it a season opener. I really wonder, though, what would I do if the same dilemma happens later on for the Big 12 title on the line? If I slept on it, I would maintain, though, the player's suspension.
Yeah, I think I would maintain the suspension regardless of what the situation was, because doesn't it come down to just your morals and what you believe in? You know, ultimately, I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer here. I think it's ultimately what you believe, and I like what I hear as far as what Dave Aranda seems to believe. But, yeah, if you put it in suspension, but it's the semifinal of the college football playoff, does that make it a different story? And it definitely does for a lot of people out there, and I understand why. That's a bit more of a sticky predicament, but I think, you know, ultimately you got to stick to your guns regardless.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
I mean, you start compromising for what, and then you go and you go and you go, and then it, you know, that's how you turn around, and all of a sudden you had good intentions, but you just started peeling away layers, and then one time you're like, well,
and let's say next time it's a quarterback and it's Charlie Brewer, and I'm just saying, and
then you get into a situation. Well, he hasn't been charged with hitting people with his car. We're like, well,
and then next thing you're the
and not that Charlie Brewer's been involved.
You're the typical SEC stereotype all of a sudden of like win at all costs, and then that's something they've already been labeled with anyways years ago. And I think Smokey brought up a good point just as far as what Baylor's been through. I don't know, because like even the last story as far as the players and not paying their rent and that whole debacle that arose, that really didn't get a whole lot of play. Maybe because that's just something that's a bit more commonplace in college. I don't know, but I figured like as soon as that came out, like, you know, sharks in the water, and it never really got there. But this is something where I could see it backfiring in a big way, of where you're feeling, you know, good about a win. You let a guy push his suspension back by a week, but then, it gets out there that he should have been suspended, and now all of a sudden it's bad press.
Here's 817. Normally it's commendable. In 2020, I'd unsuspend, do not mass punishment, suspend later, because are you going to forfeit again the Big 12 title game? I doubt it. What would Saban or Dabo do? Just wondering. Also, back to T-Rex to finish up his comment. He said he'd unsuspend him, take the backlash later.
Well, the thing was
go ahead.
Saban would have like 10 5-stars as backup, so it's a little bit of a different situation.
From T-Rex to complete what he was saying earlier, it is always easier to ask for forgiveness and permission. You can learn a lot more about where your players stand from playing the game than not. You may lose, but you deal with injuries every year. Any other year, you can't choose to not play because you're short. Adapt and overcome. Run the Wild Bear offense if needed. Sick 'em.
Yeah, but if your suspended player is an offensive lineman and that's position group you're down, Wild Bear offense doesn't matter. It's not like you can just say, all right, who's our biggest running back? You're a guard now.
We'll have Mack Rhoades at 4:20 to discuss this even further on what was the part of that decision, which he and Dave Aranda both made, that said, you know what, we're not going to change our mind on the suspension. We're not going to make it. We can't make it. We have to suspend. We cannot play the game.
That's the thing, too, is, okay, let's just throw out there as the offensive line, and you need Xavier Newman to play because you need just 6 guys to be able to, like Dave Aranda said yesterday in his interview, they would not have made it the whole game with the position group, which is, it's out there. Everybody knows what the position group is. But they wouldn't have made it through a whole game. He didn't believe, right? So would it be worth it? Like, I think some people are probably thinking of this as, I just want to see football. But would it be worth making that decision? And, for example, Xavier Newman plays, but you still only have 7 offensive linemen. And then you go and you lose to Kansas. You know what I mean? Like, just because you had a guy play.
Or you go and play him and you end up with another player or 2 injured and you're down to, and they've been there before, the first year under Matt Rule. Yeah.
I'm just saying the decision.
Put Charlie Brewer's life in danger.
The decision to allow enough guys or a guy to play that gets you to the threshold, is it worth it just so you see football versus would it be worth it if, they do that, and he's suspended next week, but they still lose to Kansas because they're still somewhat shorthanded. I think ultimately they had to go decide what was best for the team overall, and I understand that a lot of people think that just playing is best for the team, but shorthanded in a very key position group where you go in and you just play, but you just play and you lose to Kansas, and maybe you walk out even worse for wear. You got to think about that, too.
Here's also, I would add that if the players know that the coach will stick to his guns on this type of situation decision, they may think twice before doing something stupid that would cost the team performing well or the opportunity to win an important game.
That's a very good point because, if you decide to, delay the suspension or whatever, then the next time a player gets in trouble and they're playing Texas that week, Coach, why can't I play? Like, why can't we bump it to next week when we're playing Iowa State? Why you did it with so-and-so that time we needed to play. So, that is a precedent that you're setting with this, that guys do know, like, hey, no matter the situation, even if it's the difference in us playing or not playing a game, you're still going to be suspended because you screwed up. And so I do think that's a great thing as far as accountability goes. And if you were to go the other direction, then, maybe guys are a little bit more loose with it.
It's also his first one.
Yeah,
I mean, what precedent do you set if you're just Dave Aranda alone? Take every other coach, take Mack Rhoades, take everyone out of it. This is – I know it's not his first day on the job. It's his first game on the job, so it might as well be his first day on the job as far as the public is concerned because they don't give a crap about practice.
Right.
They don't care what's going on there. So the message you're sending to your team, first day on the job, and the public first day on the job is, well, we'll weigh each crime differently, or each crime is not a crime. Each violation of the rules differently, right. And I don't care right now. And then you lose credibility with the team because they won't be afraid of it, like Craig's been saying.
And if you did later on suspend a player, he's going to want to know, well, why not me? Yeah. Oh, just because we have 9 wide receivers? Here's a couple of more from the text line. Appreciate your feedback. You could also call us. We'd love to hear your voice as well. 254-339-1122. Armstrong and our good friend CJ running the mothership. Armstrong is so much different. You look much more relaxed today than you were yesterday, young man. You pretty much hit every single fireball went your way yesterday.
Totally different vibe today.
It was
totally different vibe.
And you made it. And the reactions to how you did it, the video, and CJ helping along the way, and Paul as well, it was fantastic. Also, this is from the 972. It's not worth potentially putting players at risk of injury, especially at quarterback. Here's another one. Do Baylor fans want a coach turning the blind eye again? No.
Yeah.
And that's my point about if, in fact, you unsuspend a player for even the minor issue, but if you unsuspend him just to play in the game, and then you find, or let's say it's a major issue, and then you got people creeping away. Well, how come? What was he suspended for? And it's months ago, and that's why he's on suspension for the first game. No different if you have too many parking tickets on campus or anything like that. Then you start to go, oh, okay. So you did
Baylor's
that.
back to their old trick, that kind of thing. Win at all costs.
And I'm telling you right now, and I'll admit this. On Friday evening, when the game, or Friday afternoon when the game was suspended, I had a conversation with Mack Rhoades, as you guys both know, and he's going to join us at 4:20, and we will flat out ask him. All right. So did you ever truly? And did it go up the? Did it go up the ladder? Did it go all the way to Dr. Livingstone? Who did it go to? Or was this Dave Aranda and Mack Rhoades saying, no, we don't even need to go up the ladder? We don't need to pass the buck.
I think I know the answer to that question.
Because
again, you cannot set that precedent. And whatever the violation of team rules is, whatever it is, if you decided that you were going to suspend a guy, you have to stick to that. You cannot back off of it. And look, the other thing is, so there's one player that's going to get you above the threshold. Well, you're still going in. If it's one guy above the threshold, you're on thin ice anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, you get 2 injuries and you're screwed.
Yeah, Franco, by the way, those listening, that was Gunny, not Johnny. I know the voice of special needs chimp from a mile away. Oh, my God.
That's pretty mean. That's pretty mean. I enjoy Gunny. I don't support that at all. No, part of it is we have a robot call screener, and it says,
hey, Franco, he's one of yours. Franco.
You don't know that.
You don't know.
That's an internet name.
Yeah, I know. I think it is. I think you don't want it. You don't want.
So if his name was
on the door,
if his name was Batman, would you think, oh, it's Batman? It's the actual Batman.
Would they have the signal above McLean Stadium when they get a commit? Right. Yeah. Same thing. All right. So, man, great feedback from you. We'll continue that throughout much more. The players are going to be available. A couple of them tomorrow, and we'll have some of that on Wednesday's show. Pat Combs, former Baylor All-American pitcher. He played in the major leagues for 8 years. He's going to join us. He's written a book, and he'll join us today at 4 o'clock. Also, I got the book here in front of me.
I do need to say this. It's funny.
And the forward is amazing.
I knew we were having this because he's got this motivational book that I'm sure is fantastic that I can't read and about, living your best life and all of that and how much more sports is. But when you look up Pat Combs highlights on YouTube, I mean, it's been a while since he's been in the major leagues. The one thing you see him doing is drilling Doc Gooden. And Doc Gooden, it's a pretty famous clip. Doc Gooden even said, I saw a TMZ interview that was right below it, that somebody asked Doc Gooden, and Doc, and Doc's messed up. I mean, he's got a lot of problems. But Doc's like, yeah, I proved that I can fight. Well, you saw that when I charged the mound. I was like, okay.
I saw somebody put up a Pat Corrales and Dave Stewart. And Corrales, of course, was a tough guy and a manager, former player, catcher. And he went after Dave Stewart, and Stewart threw one kind of glancing blow, and Corrales was on the ground. Gary Patterson says Matthew Downing will start at quarterback in their opening game against Iowa State. Remember, Max Duggan has been cleared to play. Stephon Brown and Max Duggan will also be a part of the quote. Now, hey, listen. They didn't play their opening game against SMU, and Duggan wasn't available.
No, and
they had some maybe protocol issues. It sounds like that. And I didn't hear anybody you're going to wait till Duggan's cleared, and now you're going to play a game?
Yeah,
you get questioned people all day doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think to spend really too much time on what a fan base thinks is, a pretty pointless exercise. I mean, I don't think there's anything we're going to say today on this radio show or on Twitter that's going to convince the Houston fan base, who cares anyways, but is going to convince them that, this wasn't Baylor running away from the game or whatever they want to say that makes them feel better about not playing this weekend. So, I mean, that's part of the deal. But Baylor had to do what they had to do, and TCU had to do what they had to do at one point as well. Both teams are hopefully playing their first games this weekend, but we'll see.
All right. This is something I saw. Craig, you gave me this. ESPN plans to move 8 of their men's basketball events to the worldwide bubble. In Disney in Florida, where they played the NBA playoffs, where they're continuing to play the NBA playoffs. Stars beaten, by the way, last night, so that series now even at 1 apiece. Drew Lock expected to miss 3 to 5 weeks, yet another injury in the NFL. We knew about him being injured, and Blake Bortles, a 1-year deal with Denver as That's Jeff Driscoll will start, the former Florida quarterback, Paul.
Yeah.
And so
and Louisiana Tech.
Another player out 3 to 5 weeks. And then Adam Schefter.
I didn't even realize Bortles was not on a team, honestly. Like, I didn't even – I haven't had any reason to check up on him, but I completely forgot.
He was amazing against Baylor in that Fiesta Bowl. All right, NFL. Vic Fangio of Denver, Pete Carroll of Seattle, and Kyle Shanahan. I got to get feedback on this. Each one of them fined $100,000 for not wearing a mask on the sideline.
Yeah, look.
Some did better than others.
The NFL's got a pretty good streak of
$100,000
of these positive tests not happening. So, yeah.
Overall, each team also fined $250,000. So the NFL just pocketed $1.05 million for head coaches not wearing masks.
Well, let me ask you this. If you fine them $10,000, are they going to think twice about it? No, they'll probably just say, all right, well, I'm not going to wear it for the rest of the season. But you say $100,000, all of a sudden, okay, we got 15 games left, and that's a lot of money.
Who was playing last night? Oakland and
Oakland or Las Vegas, actually.
Gruden kind of had. You just gave me one. Gruden kind of had his down here.
He was wearing like a chin strap.
Yeah, every once in a while he'd pull it up. So you wonder.
Cannot stand the chin strap. I cannot stand it. Just don't even wear the mask. You're not doing anything. It's not covering your mouth. It's not covering your nose. It's not covering. Just don't even wear it. Take whatever fine or whatever, but just spare me the fake mask wearing that's not even covering anything.
Well,
I cannot stand that.
It's a nice win for the Raiders. They're 2-0. They've scored 30-plus points
that was a great
back-to-back
win.
weeks. The game between Lampasas and Gatesville has been canceled. Gatesville looking for a new opponent as of earlier. Luke Howard put out a note that Lampasas had to cancel. Remember, their game last week against China Spring on Friday was canceled. China Spring didn't have a game. They're playing Mejia this week. Lampasas will now not play at least twice in a row. And then Gatesville looking for an opponent after their first win of the year against Hillsborough. And I got a note from Jeremy Colbert, the head coach at Leon and Jewett. Their game with Cayuga was canceled. That's where Traylon Shedd and Malcolm Kennedy had a state championship. Their game has been canceled, and so they're looking for an opponent. And then I realized there was an opponent, San Saba, looking for one. They reached out to Leon, and then it was like, click. And then there's some that you don't want to bite off more than you can chew.
So I realize these aren't the exact same scenarios, but are college football fans, particularly in the city of Houston, really going to wring their hands too much when high school football games are being called off like 3 hours before kickoff? I know that the travel is a bit different and all that, but we had high school games last Friday afternoon getting called off, like 4 hours before game time, right? So I think 22 hours is a little bit of a more fair warning. It's not ideal, but it's better than, what some of the other cancellations have looked like.
Well, and I saw, Houston in the article to Max Olson, and Max will join us on Thursday's show at 4 o'clock. But there were a couple of comments, and of course, we've mentioned Holgerson. I don't know how it gets to 22 hours before the game. We've had 4 games canceled. He's frustrated. I get it.
Sure.
I was frustrated. Weren't you?
Yeah,
we all
I was
were.
frustrated,
but he just wasn't sure. But here's also, and Baylor's got this great relationship with Houston. That's why they were able to pull this off. As one Houston source put it, if we knew we had a problem, we would have been transparent, said we've got some positive. We're maybe short on offensive linemen. We got this conference deal. Of course, they threw in the offensive linemen because they know and put us. But the AD said, we're extremely disappointed for our student athletes. Whatever. We appreciate their dedication to not adhering to the American testing. But we're not only adhering to American testing protocols, but he kind of, Mack reached out to him Thursday evening, and that's when there was a little bit of a simmering of, man, there's a test tomorrow, and we might be in trouble. He said that to the AD, Pesman at Houston. What else can he do? Because I know for a fact that there was a player who tested positive Thursday who was a part of this position group and was a part of other things as well. And so you have this all of a sudden, poof. You could go from 12 to 5.
That makes no sense, that comment from, I don't know if that person was unnamed or not, of basically saying, a little bit more heads up would have been nice. They were going by the testing. What do you
the tests don't come back till Friday. They don't come back till.
What am I missing here? And what are you missing?
Dana Holgerson and his group, at some point this year, might face the same dilemma.
Yeah.
And I hope not. I hope nobody else does. Mack will join us at 4:20 to kind of give us a little bit more insight.
Since when has any of this been on a good timetable?
None of it is.
Tell me, since February, when this first started popping up, when did COVID-19 say, listen, I'm going to come and wreck your whole world, but I will be polite about it?
Yeah. No.
I'll give you a heads up. Yeah.
All right. We have on air till 6 o'clock. We'll have Pat Combs at 4. Mack Rhoades today about 4:20. Also today, Billy Embody writes for SMU, covers SMU for the Pony Stampede. Is that right? Paul Catalina's conversation with him after they got off to this nice start. And all of them, Buechele, Roberson, and Craig Bentley, the running back, the freshman, all had big games. All of them were honorable mention for the Earl Campbell Award. But it was De'Aaron King, the quarterback in Houston, that wins the award this week.
After the winning
Miami, excuse me. There you go. From Miami this week, who transferred from Houston. He wins the award, had a nice game, over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns in the win against Louisville.
Hey, based on who he's playing this week, he can go back. He can go back to Houston if he wants.
Yeah.
I won't kick up a fuss.
Has there been anything else about Norvell?
He did the press conference. He did a press conference today.
Yeah, but you can do that by Zoom.
So I don't think he's going to be on the sideline, but he's been doing press conferences.
He's going to call the game from Zoom up in his.
Well, we've already seen the insane high school coach who lived next door to the stadium rent one of the big risers, and he basically from his yard, I guess, was able to look into the field and call the game. Yeah, there's been examples of that. Look at freaking Hugh Freeze last year. 2 years ago when he had the medical issues, and he's in the press box in a hospital bed. And coaches are nuts, man.
Yeah,
so
but I think we'll find out. I think that's going to be one of those things that Florida State and Miami has got college game day. We'll find out on Friday if they're really going to have a game or not.
We'll find out about Kansas and Baylor on Friday. By the way, one of the broadcasts.
That's almost like how this works.
Yeah.
Houston.
We'll have Phil Pott, the play-by-play announcer, who's doing the game on Saturday on our show tomorrow. I think it's he'll be on at 3:30 or 4:25, one of those two times tomorrow. So looking forward to that as well. All right, when we come back, we have the high school football segments. Today it's China Spring. They had their game canceled. What are they going through this week as they get ready for Mejia and what Brian Bell has faced? Also, today we'll hear from Lorena's Ray Biles, and they got hit, remember, 2 weeks ago, then beat Madisonville. His thoughts as we continue. It's just about not Baylor. It's a lot about Baylor, but it's about high school football. It's exactly what the three of us have been doing for now over a decade, or for me now almost 39 years. It's about the combination. And yesterday, heavy on the Cowboys with Brad Sham and among others. We will have some about them as well as they get ready now for week number 3. And it's Seattle. Seattle have anybody hurt?
I don't know. They just sent me the release. Yeah, they've got a couple guys, but not it's not Russell. Well, they've got Bruce Irvin out for the year.
There you go.
That's a big
See,
one,
it's the Cowboys had the hard first week. The NFL said, wait a minute. Barkley, you're gone. Scherf, you're gone.
The whole Eagles offensive line.
Yeah. And then you're playing Seattle. Okay, boom, they're gone. No, not Russell Wilson. He's a very important part of the NFL.
Russell Wilson, Chris Carson, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett are still there.
All right, so and they're very, very good. All right, when we come back, you'll hear from both the high school coaches, Brian Bell from China Spring and from Ray Biles of Lorena. And when we have the 4 o'clock hour, Pat Combs, former Baylor All-American and Major League Baseball pitcher in this book, More Than the Score. We'll discuss that with him, Mack Rhoades as well, and then we focus on SMU with Billy Embody and Paul Catalina. Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina. I'm David Smoke, along with our friends CJ and Armstrong, running the mothership on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. The savings continue on the kickoff savings event. All 2020 vehicles on their lot are priced to move now. If you're looking for the best truck, well, you're looking for a GMC, and during the Richard Carr Kickoff Savings Event, qualified buyers can score huge savings like $8,000 off a 2020 GMC Sierra, or save $6,000 on the roomy 3-row 2020 GMC Acadia. All 3-row Buick Enclaves, full of room and full of luxury. 2020 models, all $8,000 off. If you're looking for a little luxury and style, well, the Cadillac SUVs, the XT4, the XT5, the 7-passenger Cadillac XT6, got deals on those as well. Right now, you can get yours today starting at only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac. The 2020 Cadillac CT4, one of the best sedan values on the market, going for for $32,995 right now during the kickoff savings event. So you get big selection, you get great prices, you also get free oil changes when you purchase a new vehicle, and VIP priority warranty service. Richard Carr stands by to support all their customers with award-winning service. Richard Carr Motors are the people you can count on. A local family dealer run by Baylor alumni. They want the chance to earn your business now and with every car you drive down the road. So stop by their daily disinfected showroom and see their safety-focused staff, or they can bring the test drive to your home because your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them online at Richard Carr, that's KARR.com, or go check them out in person, Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
Let's face it, some people just like driving around in the new. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters to talk about those truck owners that know they have naked trucks but simply don't care. You'll hear them saying something like, I'm just driving around free and easy, nothing constricting me. Gross. But there is something that can entice almost any naked truck owner. Leather. I mean, they kind of go together, right? And Pickup Outfitters is an authorized dealer and professional installer of cat skin leather seats. So I'm asking you to do your part and help us end truck nudity. The next time you're near your naked truck owner friend, you can say something like, you know what would really be sexy on your truck? Leather. And they'll get that sly smile, and you know you've hit them in their weak spot. Pickup Outfitters installs factory-matching leather kits or custom kits in just about any color combination for your truck or even car. It's the sexy thing to do. You can be part of the problem, or you can create a commotion with cat skin leather seats at Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of health care while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of health care has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sikkim 365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Dodge is the highest-ranked brand in initial quality according to J.D. Power. Now at Allen Samuels, get special offers on Dodge cars and SUVs. Dodge Charger SXTs are now available with 2.9% financing for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Dodge Journey has 2.9 for 72 or choose up to $4,750 in cash and subprime offers. Performance. Dodge. From Allen Samuels.
Hi. This is China Spring football coach Brian Bell. You're listening to Sikkim 365 Radio, your home for the best high school football coverage in the state of Texas.
This segment with China Spring Cougars football coach Brian Bell is sponsored by Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, First National Bank of Central Texas, Lance Donaldson eXp Realty, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Southwest Sports Medicine.
What have the last few days been like with seeing the delay, the cancellation, and now not sure who you might have this week against Mejia?
Oh, yeah. So just really proud of the way our guys have kind of taken the news. We kind of took it really hard at first, but they're pretty resilient at the beginning or at the end of the week last week. And kind of coming into the week fired up this morning when we had film. So, we're really excited to get this week started. That way we have a game week again.
This doesn't happen quickly with the health department or anyone else. I don't think you expect all of a sudden some miracle on Wednesday that here's 8 or 9 guys can play.
Right. No, yes. So, it's kind of a next man up mentality, preparing like we're not going to have some guys, but it is what it is, just trying to do the best of what we got right now and taking it 1 week at a time, 1 day at a time, and just trying to figure things out accordingly. But, we're not the only team in Texas that's got to deal with this problem or this issue. We're not going to be the last school that's got to deal with something like this. So, we're not alone in it. We're not, if that makes any sense whatsoever. There's colleges having to do quarantine. There's high schools that are having to do it. So we just got to take it 1 day at a time and try to take care of our own bodies and our own families and just try to stay healthy the best we can.
Tristan Abram is now at Mejia, and he's changed what they do offensively. They used to be a spread team. Now they've gone to the slot T. And even though they lost Salado, obviously is pretty good. You'll face them later in the year. Your thoughts about facing the slot T and what they're doing at Mejia?
Yes, sir. So as you know, just the slot T presents so many problems. And when you get athletes like they have at Mejia that are running the slot T, it creates even more problems. And so they're very multiple up front. And what they do with the slot T, they're not kind of like a normal slot T. And so we're going to have our hands full there. Defensively, they're just extremely, extremely athletic. They run to the football. They play extremely fast. So we got our work cut out for us, but we're eager to kind of get ahead and go play another game on Friday.
Then you have district, and the thing about the Lampasas game, you both were rolling, and we know what they did. I mentioned this to you last week that they were a semifinalist, and that obviously you were playing at a high level. One is the disappointment you don't get to play a game that you have the unknown, but also the fact that you would have truly known who you are at the end of a game like that.
Right. There's a little bit of that, and it would have been nice to kind of know how we measured up against a team like Lampasas, but we try to have our own kind of confidence within ourselves, and we don't need to beat anybody or lose anybody to know if we're a good or bad football team. We kind of know who we are, and we believe that and trust in each other, and so that's kind of where we're at now. Momentum-wise, we did have a lot of momentum going into that week, so being 3-0 and kind of having that off-week type deal. So we're trying to work on this week, kind of get our momentum back, get our swagger back, and try to hit the ground running.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Have you downloaded the Sikkim 365 radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, specializing in diagnosis and treatment of any and all sport-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service to Central Texas. They tackle all surgical and non-surgical problems that arise from an active lifestyle. Trust the doctors that Baylor trust, and when injuries sideline you, don't wait for Monday. Join us at 8:30 on Saturday mornings for a post-game injury evaluation clinic. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. We get you back in the game.
Are you a Sikkim 365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance in McLennan County takes pride in backing Central Texas football. Our agents would like to help with your insurance needs. Call 254-772-8090 for an agent near you.
Hi, this is Ray Miles, head football coach at Lorena High School, and you're listening to Sikkim 365 Radio with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
This segment with Lorena Leopards football coach Ray Biles is sponsored by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Southwest Sports Medicine.
Ray Biles, head football coach at Lorena, has been through this a long time, has been through many different scenarios as a head football coach and as a player as well. You have had to deal with the COVID, the delays, and then even a game that was canceled the night of, and then bouncing back to try to play again. You knew this might happen. You've seen others who have dealt with it. How strange or difficult has it been?
Well, you're exactly right, Dave. It wasn't, oh, gee, I hope it doesn't happen. Our approach was always when it does, because even with the protocols and all the measures we're taking, it was just inevitable. It's going to be a period of time before it happens somewhere to someone. And so, anyway, that being said, we had some things in place. It has been very different for us as far as, how we tried to approach it. But, you bring some of your junior varsity kids up. A lot of times, the ones that end up in quarantine are a position group, because those kids kind of hang out together. And so sometimes, you're going to get hit. And that's kind of what happened to us at Gatesville. We lost a few in a certain position. And so we had to bring some kids up off the JV and move some freshmen up to the JV and make some arrangements. But we suited 28 up for last Friday night's ball game. But we felt like that was an adequate number for us to be able to sufficiently, handle what we needed to do to try to put a varsity ball game out there and still be safe with everyone out there.
And that's about, 8 to 10, 12 guys less than you would have on a Friday night suited up at varsity?
That's correct. We probably run right around 38 to 40 on a normal Friday night.
One of the things that we've learned as you and I are in older, but one of the things we always thought, oh, my goodness, it seems like that adults are the ones that probably are the ones don't handle things like this as well as the young men or women, the athletes or someone. They're all young people are very resilient. You found that out, obviously. You won the game. You won the game handily against Madisonville. Your thoughts just as you're watching that game unfold on Friday night and going, man, these kids are amazing.
Well, you're right. You said the key word, resilient. I think some of us old-timers, we get set in our ways. But those kids, if you set a standard and you set a rule and you say, guys, this is what we're going to have to do, they're in. They'll do whatever they need to do to make this happen. The second thing is, Dave, we went back to what we call Ironman football. Normally we platoon offense and defense. Well, we don't have the numbers to be able to do that right now because of, obviously, quarantine. And then there's nothing to say. In 2 weeks, we won't be in another situation where we're going to be in another quarantine scenario. So we just made the decision as a coaching staff that we're going to work both sides of the ball. So our kids have an offensive and a defensive position. They're starting somewhere and backing up somewhere and backing up somewhere else. And so anyway, we're just trying to be prepared down the road. And in the long run, it may be a blessing for us that we've got more kids prepared to play in more positions. The other side of it is you have to simplify and make sure, you're steady on what you're doing because you can't put a whole lot of bells and whistles in. Just don't have time to do it. But you have the opportunity to get those kids out there. And, hey, nobody of those 28 that played the other night, they all played and everybody got sweaty and it was a great night.
So you obviously now you have another game. You have Academy. And that's district now. Do you feel like you know who you are? You lost the one game. You had the great game finish against Franklin when you stop them for 2. Do you kind of have a feel for who you are? And do you know this week if you'll get back some of the cavalry?
Well, we did have a pretty good feel for what we can and cannot do. I mean, we've had plenty of opportunities now to look at some different. Yeah, we lost the ball game, but in the big picture, I think we've got a pretty good idea of what we are. The scary thing is, like I mentioned, what's going to happen tomorrow morning. I may wake up and they may give me a phone call, and we've got another scenario with personnel. So you don't really know what's going to happen there. You're going to have to shuffle a lot of people around, and I think that's one of the things that I just mentioned a moment ago. We have people backing up in several different positions, and we don't have an option now but to try to train people to play multiple positions and go with it from there. But it is what it is, and our kids have an opportunity to play. And here's the other thing: they've embraced it so well. They may think they're a defensive cornerback. Well, guess what? They're a slot receiver now too, buddy. And let's go run routes. So some of those DBs have a little bit more respect for some of our receivers when they found out how much they actually did run during the course of a practice.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Waco's Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, bod pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change. Your change.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford, our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week. Locally owned dealership, online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. The annual tent sale's going on right now.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
How can we help you? That's a question we ask every day at American Bank. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Our commitment to our customers is what drives us. It's why we've invested in new branch buildings and technology like ITMs that let you speak to a teller face-to-face from your car. It's why we work with local businesses, helping Waco grow and thrive. And it's why decisions about your accounts and loans are made here in Waco by people who know you. How can we help you? Find out at American Bank, member FDIC.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi. Great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco. House-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine. Best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Doc Gooden leads off the inning, and he's hit, and he charges the mound, and he's into Pat Combs. Gooden didn't like it, and now both teams have come out of the dugout.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
So I last week reached out to Pat Combs. He had made a comment about what we were doing with Sikkim 365 Radio, which we appreciated. And I reached out to him, and bam, immediately we get back and we say, okay, let's look at what we can do to get you on the show. And then he sends me the book. I have it in my hands. It's right here. More Than the Score. Pat Combs has written the book. We'll get into that. Played Major League Baseball as well, and, of course, an All-American at Baylor with a great point average as well. And he joins us now on Sikkim 365 Radio, Paul Catalina and David Smoke. Pat, thank you so much. Thanks for your support of what we're doing here with Sikkim 365 Radio as well. So you're involved in what you do in business. You also have your Major League and college career, your family, and now you're an author. When did you get into something like this?
Oh, Smokey! First of all, thanks for having me, man. What an honor! What a pleasure to be with you guys. I can't believe it took me this long to get on with you, but thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Hey, I love it. No, I love the studios too. That's just phenomenal. That's what I was reaching out to tell you. What a great job. Well, listen, I did not ever set out to be an author. I consider myself a decent writer, but nothing like writing a book. And I was sitting down with a friend of mine. This is about a year ago. A guy named Kent Evans runs a ministry called Manhood Journey. Kent's written a couple of great books on fatherhood, being a good man. And I said, Kent, I got a great book for you to write about, parents and coaches and just the things I'm seeing in youth sports about getting away from cultivating virtue and character, focusing more on one of these stupid plastic trophies. I said, you need to write this book. And he said, well, tell me more about it. And I started telling some stories. He's like, within 5 minutes, he said, no, dude, you're writing that book, and I'll help you, but you're going to write it. I said, I'm not an author, man. So that's how we got into it.
Is that one of those things that and I've even struggled sometimes if I have a speech or if I have something to write. Craig and Paul write columns and opinion pieces as well. But is that one of those things where you have a lot of sticky notes or a notepad along the way and you just kind of piece it all together, but there's always something that comes in your mind and then you just kind of look at it at one time?
I don't know how most authors do it, but I literally sat down on weekends and just started writing down stories of the things that I've experienced in baseball and coaching, and now I've been doing it for 25 years after my career, and really a lot of the family stuff we've been through, Smokey. So, like, just talking about stories of my kids and what Christina and I went through with Carson and Connor and Casey, and just reliving those stories. First of all, it was fun to do it, just to sit down and write those stories out, thinking, if anything, this is going to be a legacy for my sons, just to read some stuff and have some memories of what we were able to go through as a family. But then, piecing it together, doing all the transitional stuff, and then setting up the book the way it needs to be set up correctly for folks to read it and it actually makes sense. I mean, that to me, there's an art and science to it. And the guys who do, spend their lives doing it, I mean, it's a lot of hard work. And I learned a lot from Kent just working through that. But, for the most part, it was fun just writing stuff down and then piecing it together.
Pat, your Major League Baseball career was not very long, but you had some special things that happened, which I'm sure had to be a huge learning experience for you. In 1989, you rapidly shot through the system, which for a young guy has to be kind of a ride. What did you learn about yourself during that time? Because that doesn't happen very often, where you start in A-ball and then all of a sudden at the end of the year, you're in Philadelphia pitching for the Phillies.
Yeah, that was not the plan. When I started with the Phillies, they drafted me first round in '88. I started my pro career in '89 because we had the Olympic stuff going on in the summer of '88. So '89 I start. The plan was to get me to AA, possibly to AAA, just to see how I would handle, those two levels of baseball, and then potentially make it a jump to the big leagues in maybe 90 or 91. But, looking back, I'll tell you a couple of things. One is, having the coaching that I had at Baylor, Mickey Sullivan, and then our pitching coach that Mickey brought in. Actually, when I came to Baylor my sophomore year after I spent my first year at Rice, Mickey brought in Sid Hudson, and Sid changed my career path and put me on the path really to get to the big leagues quickly. I mean, I was about as polished as you could be coming out of college, and that goes really to Sid. Taking care of my mechanics helped me to think right, to process things correctly, and to be aggressive in the strike zone. I mean, all those things I learned just being around Sid and Mickey. So that prepared me for that really, meteoric rise to the big leagues with the Phillies. And the other thing was it was the right team at the right time. The Phillies were rebuilding. They needed pitching. And I was in the right spot, and I just happened to put it all together and get there very quickly.
Pat, in that same time frame, what were your takeaways? What was your experience like in that 88 Baseball World Cup? Obviously, it didn't end the way you guys wanted it to, thanks to the Cubans, but just seemed like a cool event. Being out in Italy, playing all these international teams, what was that experience like?
Oh, man. I could easily point back to that part of my life and say those are my greatest years of baseball, just putting on the red, white, and blue, the USA across your chest. I mean, there's no greater sense of pride than to represent your country and to be able to play internationally against the greatest baseball players on the planet. And, back then it was still mostly amateur. I mean, the Cubans, the Japanese would use their professional players, but it was mostly amateur competition. It was the best in the world. And so 87 World Cup, we're playing in Italy. We lose the final game to the Cubans. We almost get into this massive brawl at the end of the game when they came to our dugout waving the Cuban flag. It was just crazy. But the next year, that was the catalyst for setting us up, knowing we could play the Cubans and defeat them. And going into that 88 Olympic year, which was played in Seoul, Korea, that gave us confidence as a team that we could play with the best of the best, which was the Cuban team at that time. And unfortunately, it ended up boycotting. But that set us up to beat Japan in that final game and win the gold medal in Seoul.
You played in the league, and the fact is that Paul mentioned it wasn't a long career, but you played in the league. Were you able to enjoy every single moment? I know it's a business. I know when you get to the pro part of anything, it becomes a business. You had a 10-10 year, which is a good year. I mean, most people would like that. Did you get to enjoy it or not?
Smokey, I loved every day of it. I mean, I tell people all the time that, that was a dream fulfilled. It was looking back, all the hard work, the hours, the perseverance, the dedication, overcoming injury, all that. I mean, it was some of the finest days I've ever lived on the planet, really. I mean, I was doing what I felt God had designed me and skilled me to do. So I loved every day of it. The grind was after I got hurt, went through a couple of surgeries, trying to get back, spent 4 years in the minors. There were times I put it together, thought I could pitch back in the big leagues, but to be able to sustain your performance at that level, most of us who played little league and experienced competition at whatever level it was, to get there at that big league level and to stay there, it's probably some of the hardest things to do in life. So, but I look back on it, I just thought it was a gift from God that I got a chance to experience and loved every day of it.
Good.
Pat, I'm looking at the 1988 first round of the Major League Baseball draft, and that might have been one of the most successful first rounds ever. It's not just you who made it to the big leagues. It's Andy Benes, Steve Avery, Greg Olson, Jim Abbott, Robin Ventura, Tino Martinez, Royce Clayton, Charlie Nagy, Ed Sprague, Alex Fernandez, Rico Bronya, Brian Jordan. That was one heck of a first round. Is there a bond with the draft class when you get drafted and you kind of follow each other's careers? Because that was one heck of a first round, really.
No, I think it was. I think you nailed it, Paul. When you look back on it and you think about the days of scouting back in those days, when they didn't have all the analytics that really have taken over the game, you relied on that human eye, to spot that talent. And the scouts had to know their stuff. They had to know their people. I mean, I had so many visits with scouts during that 88 season. Part of that was almost trying to fit guys into the schedule to sit down and have those visits because they had to get to know you. They wanted to know what kind of player they were drafting, the character, all the things behind that being a first-round draft pick. So, you don't really bond with those guys, but you compete with them. And there's just this healthy level of respect that, hey, that was an awesome draft class. You got to compete with some of those guys on the field and see what kind of talent they had. And then you just look back and you appreciate that, that's when scouting was really, hard work and guys busted it to get to ballparks every day and watch these players play and not rely on videotape and analytics all the time.
I'd be hard pressed if I didn't mention our friend Arthur Rhoades, also from Waco, was 34th overall by the Orioles that very same year,
and he's still pitching.
Right.
He is still closing for somebody when he got that hat down below with that glare.
Or something,
yeah.
Pat, as far as getting into the majors, was there a welcome to the big leagues moment for you? Whether it was somebody stepping into the batter's box or somebody you encountered, in the clubhouse or whatever it may have been. Was there a oh wow, I'm in Major League Baseball now type moment for you?
Oh man, it was spring training of '88, and pitchers and catchers report first, so we had been there about a week, and then I'm sitting in my locker, and comes through the door Mike Schmidt, and it was at that moment I go, whoa, this is like Hall of Fame legend Mike Schmidt. I'm in the same locker room as Mike Schmidt, and it was really cool because it was one of my dad's favorite players when he watched the game quite a bit. So I think it was the second or third day I kind of got the confidence up to go walk over and introduce myself, and Schmidt was good about that. He would walk around and say hi to everybody. I walked over and said, Mr. Schmidt, can I get a signed bat for my dad? And he turned around and looked at me like, what are you asking me that for? Because I'm your teammate. First of all, don't ever call me Mr. Schmidt again. And secondly, he goes, yeah, I'll sign a bat for your dad. That's not a problem at all. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. But, quickly realizing that I'm sitting in the same locker room as a legend like Schmidt was really cool. And then the little kind of sidebar part of that story was on Sunday. This was a few days later. Schmidt announced that there was baseball chapel in the media room. And, the first thought that hit me was, oh, man, I thought I got away from that chapel stuff when I left Baylor. And now I got to go to chapel in the big leagues. I'm like, golly, what the heck? So I see Schmidt walking out and a number of players walking behind him. And we're sitting in the media room. I'm looking around, and I said, Schmidt, where's the rest of the team? He goes, no, this is voluntary. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm out of here. So I'm getting ready to leave, and he pulls me by the back of the shirt and says, no, rookie, you're here. You're sitting down and listening to this message. And so it was that morning, a little Jewish believer from down the street at Clearwater Christian Church came in and gave a message, and that's the day I gave my life to Christ. So thankfully to Mike Schmidt grabbing me and keep me in that chapel room.
Imagine that, the Hall of Famer, and had a role and impact with that as well. Back to your book for a second, and I want one of us has to ask you about baseball as they hit the stretch drive, as they close in on the playoffs. But today, and parents trying to live their lives through their children, what's the advice for you on allowing them to breathe or allowing them to do what they do, and yet also being very much involved in their life?
Oh, man. Smokey, there's so much there in that answer I could give. I would say the first thing is buy the book. All the answers are in the book.
Yep.
Second thing is I would say, look, it's the game has changed so much from when we were kids. We went out to have fun, to play with our community, to play with the kids in our block. That's what Little League was about. That's what Pee Wee football was about. I mean, it was just that community feeling, and obviously that's gone out the door, right? It's now parents focusing on how can I create my next little Tiger Woods or my next Tom Brady, and unfortunately that parents and coaches for a large part have stolen the joy of the game in that way. And part of the book I talk about is letting the kids be the kids. Let the kids control the game. We as adults ought to be encouraging. We ought to be affirmative. We ought to be coaching, discipling, mentoring our kids. But let's think about this game as way more than about the score on the scoreboard. It really is about building the character and virtue and teaching the life skills that come out of the game. They're going to, last our kids their lifetimes. And that's what Christine and I focused on with our sons was, these guys are just like a harvest field. Our job as parents is to cultivate that field, plant the right seeds, let them grow, not rescue them when they get in trouble, let them go through defeat, let them learn how to win, learn how to lose. But ultimately, what we're to do is to be parents that are guided by God, that will build the right things into our kids' lives. So when they get beyond the game, which could be 12, 14, 20, 30, right? They have those skills the rest of their lives. And that's what I get out of the game. I learned so many incredible life skills from great coaches, great teammates that have lasted me my lifetime. And I can't tell you most of the scores I was ever involved in, but I can tell you all the great things I learned from the game.
The book is called More Than the Score, How Parents and Coaches Can Cultivate Virtue in Youth Athletes. Pat Combs, forward written by 5-time World Series champion Andy Pettit. Again, it's you could find this at Barnes & Noble and online. Pat, how do you get a hold of this?
Yeah, pre-order, Smoke. Thanks for asking. Pre-order on Amazon or Christian Book. But, yeah, you can pre-order it. It's going to go live October 15th.
Okay.
But, would love folks to get their hands on it. And if you'd like to get it to me somehow, we'll sign it, whatever you want to do with it. But I would just encourage parents to get it, read it, there's some great stories in there.
More than the score. Also, Pat, we got Mack Rhoades coming up next. Last thing on the baseball season, and what your thoughts are, the quality of it, considering what all the delays that happened and the fact that we're almost now about to start the playoffs.
Yeah, I love the quality of the game. I think they did it right. I think they brought the 30 players on the roster. They had the other 30 behind those guys, to fill in the spots when things would happen. I think Major League Baseball did a good job of getting us the season. The unfortunate part, obviously, is it's going to be a condensed deal. It's just a sprint to the finish with some of these teams. But man, you got to love what you're seeing on the ball field in terms of the competitive nature of it. I mean, you've got teams like the White Sox and the Oakland A's that not many people picked to be at the top of the American League standings. Then you look at the teams that you thought would be there, like the Dodgers, the Yankees, doing pretty well. The Atlanta Braves playing great with a young lineup. The Cubs up there with, it's just some great baseball. So, you just wonder when it gets to the playoffs if it's going to be a lot like what we've seen with NHL, because I love watching hockey and watching the Stars now in the Stanley Cup. Are the playoffs going to be able to capture more attention? It seems like attendance, in terms of viewership on TV is down. But it's just a tough situation for all of professional sports. But I'm glad they're having the season. I'm glad they've been able to get out there and play it. And a lot of young players that are making some waves here that are going to be fun to watch for years to come.
Tell everybody what business you're a part of right now.
Well, I've got my own business is Combs Capital Partners. It's a wealth management company. My son runs that day to day. And then part of a group called Teamalytics. And we do consulting with companies, professional sports teams, military personnel. My background obviously lends itself to working with doing behavioral analytics with players and teams. And so I've been spending about the last 22 years doing that. So really having a lot of fun with that, too.
Pat, thank you so much for your support of what we're doing. Thanks for being a part of the show. And you're right, it took us too long to get you. Appreciate it. Good luck with the book. We'll help people get an idea of how to get that again with Amazon.com and much more. Thanks for your time.
Loki, it's been an honor.
That's
Appreciate
Pat Combs, former All-American at Baylor, pitched in the major leagues. I mean, just to have an opportunity to go to a training camp, to me, would be amazing. It's just a dream of, especially my generation, but I think a dream even of now, of having a chance, your name on a baseball card and all that, and it's just such a good deal. When we come back, lots of questions for Mack Rhoades, Baylor Director of Athletics. He's next on Sikkim 365 Radio. Don Humidor, the number one cigar of the year is Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua, and they have that cigar inside their 48-foot walk-in humidor. And their 48-foot walk-in humidor has all of the great brands of cigars, whether it's Macanudo, H. Upmann, Ashton, Rocky Patel, Artur Fuente, Cohiba. There are many brands. It's kind of like all sorts of different brands of cars. There are different brands of whatever you like as far as something when it comes to groceries, like detergent. And they have all of those inside the 48-foot walk-in humidor. Also, they have CBD products carrying 100% U.S.-grown, full-spectrum and broad-spectrum CBD, great for muscles and aches and pains. And also, they have VitaDreams to help you maybe sleep better at night. If you have problems falling asleep, VitaDreams can help you out. Ask Carol and Ashley when you're there. They'll help you with that. And, of course, Don Humidor and coffee beans with all the different aromas and flavors of what you want. Fresh coffee beans right there inside the store. Don Humidor in the Town West Shopping Center just off of Valley Mills. Cigars, coffee beans, and CBD products. Ask Carol and Ashley. Tell them Smokey sent you in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhoades is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
All right, thanks to Pat Cohn for his time. Good luck with the book. It's called More Than the Score. Now joined by Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhoades with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Both Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, and also David Smoke with you. And Mack, thank you for the time. So much has happened since we even talked to you on Friday when the game with Houston was canceled. As of right now, you mentioned even yesterday you had test results coming back. As of right this minute, are you good for the week?
Remain in good shape. As you know, and just a reminder to everybody, we'll do our second test of the week on Wednesday, and we'll get those results back sometime on Thursday. Usually it's no later than early evening, and then we do the antigen test on Friday, the day before the game. So still 2 tests remaining, but yesterday, we received results yesterday from the Sunday test, and we're in good shape so far.
Mack, if I'm if this is just in a hypothetical, if my roommate tests positive and I'm in the contact tracing, how many times do I have to test negative before I'm clear?
Well, and Paul, just to be simplistic about it, you cannot test out of the 14-day quarantine.
Okay.
So you are in quarantine for 14 days, right? And there's no ability to test out of it. So now we're gonna test you before we bring you back in to make sure nothing happened, right? But and that's the big conversation. That's the big I'm not going to call it debate, but just
discussion about, close contacts, the 14-day of quarantine, right? And, this isn't just for student athletes. This is across campuses. Student athletes to self-quarantine somebody for 14 days, it's a long time, and it's hard, right? And you begin to worry about mental health and all of those things. And, even for us as an institution, trying to make sure that, our students are, able to get outside for some time. Obviously, how we're feeding them, all of that, right? Certainly with our student athletes, making sure that they can still condition, so they stay in shape as best as possible. So, I think, as we think about the future, one, will any of the governing agencies ever, take a look at it and think about reducing, those days from 14 down to potentially 7? And there's discussion right now about that. And then, can you ever get to a place, if you're testing every day, that you don't, if you're a close contact, that you don't have to go into the self quarantine?
Yeah, you mentioned that there's 2 more tests, and I know there's 3 tests every week, and one of them you get results back on Friday. Is there any chance that test can come back earlier than Friday in the future, or is that because that's the stringent one, I think, the Big 12 test, and that's just the way it has to be with the timeline?
Yeah, I mean, what the theory behind it, right, is, for Big 12 across the board, all 10 institutions, right, that Friday test is an antigen test, right? And so you can take that test, and, for example, if we begin testing, at 8 a.m., we should have all of the results by noon at the latest, right? And so the theory behind it is that you're doing everything you can to ensure right up prior to the event that anybody that's going to be on that field is infectious free. And so that's again why we do it. And we actually have a third party that implements that test. And so it's not our own, medical people, implementing the test and then certifying it. It's a third party for that Friday test. Now, each institution, is on their own as to the Sunday test and the Wednesday test.
I got a question for you, and I asked this to Dave Aranda yesterday with his weekly conversation with me. If you were at a position that was hurt because of the COVID, because of the testing, and you had a player that was suspended, and if you allow that player to play, you can play the game. And I asked him this, and he said point blank he did not want to change his values. He did not want to get his... Whoops. Sorry about that. Is that me? Okay, he did not want to get his integrity questioned. You guys have to have that conversation. You have to have that conversation. How difficult was that conversation on Friday with Dave Aranda, and did it go up the ladder, or was it stop at the buck with you and Dave?
Yeah, candidly, it was a different, conversation. There's a lot of emotion going on, right? And I know that's hard to envision unless you're right in the midst of it, right? But you have a group of young men that have had the rug pulled out from underneath them, right? The La Tech game, and then this excitement, from going from that to now playing an opponent, and it wasn't just any opponent, right? It was another Texas team where our young men have relationships with student athletes on the Houston team and vice versa. And so, I'm not going to say that it meant more, but certainly there was that emotional piece to it. And so, you're thinking about all of them, right? And you're in the moment and you're starting to think, hey, the only way we can do this is to unsuspend an individual, and how does that play in for the good of the 110? But then you sit there and you think about your moral and your value system, and quite frankly, Dave and I probably had 3 or 4 different conversations about it, and we just finally rested that that's just not something we're willing to do. And as we think about short-term gain versus long-term gain, short-term decisions versus long-term decisions, right? Probably we probably could have justified it in our mind, and we certainly could have cleared it, and it would have been okay from a clearance from an NCAA, from a university rules and regulations. We could have, but what does that do in terms of long term and what we believe in and what our program's built upon, and then what message does that say to our young men as well? And sometimes, many times, football is not the most important thing, and I know that's hard to maybe realize or deal with if you're not in the moment, but again, we're trying to continue to build a program that does it the right way in all areas, and it was just something that Dave and I just, at the end of the day, we just felt we're not going to compromise.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what's going on with it. Are you a little disappointed there's a little chirping going on from Houston after all the work you put into making this game happen?
Yeah, I'll be candid. I'm disappointed in their head coach and the chirping, and and I let the AD know it, and in my opinion, not professional, but we'll move on, and we'll move forward.
Mack, so now you are here on Tuesday, and obviously there's so many people that just want a game, and I know you do, and Coach Aranda does, and everybody else does. There's no question about it. You were at this point last week. Are you now like almost, I don't know the word, you kind of wake up every morning confident, or you wake up every morning, my God, what's next?
No, I don't think you can live life that way. I mean, I think that, we wake up every morning and we're optimistic and we're confident, and, we'll handle what each day brings us. And, again, this time last week, we were pretty confident. Fast forward now, we feel really good about ourselves. We feel good about Kansas. So we'll see what happens. But I certainly think we're going to play Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. I know our kids are, and I think it's going to be great medicine for all of us, our fans included.
Hey, Mack, how much discussion have you guys had, because the schedule has been so screwy, about that open week next week? Have you had a discussion about, like, hey, what happens if for some reason with all these tests that are still to come, we can't play this weekend? We'd be looking at another 2 weeks before playing an eventual first game. Have you guys had any conversation about that open week next week, depending on how things fall over the next few days?
Yeah, I mean, Craig, we were, strategic, meaning the Big 12 was strategic about collapsible games and dates. And so, you look at that open week, right, which I think, I don't have my calendar in front of me, but I think it's October 10th. And, if you were to get on KU's schedule and you were to get on West Virginia's schedule, you'll note that they have that weekend open. And so we built it that way. So if for any reason the KU game has to be postponed or the West Virginia game has to be postponed, and then both of us, both of those institutions have that open date, and so we could make it up on the 10th. And we've built, the schedule again, collapsible. If, you think about, our next open date, which I believe is on November 21st, if I'm thinking about that right. But those games in between, the 10th and that date, there'll be some open or some common open dates for us to play one or two of those opponents again as a makeup. So again, I think, by starting when we started, meaning, conference play this upcoming weekend on the 26th and moving the champ game back, we've provided ourselves some flexibility for those postponements.
Mack, when you get the news, do you have to kind of like re-educate the team or like maybe put stricter things on what they do when you had this situation, or was it just one of those things that you kind of fell on the wheel of destiny, that it was your time at Baylor in this madness?
Yeah, I mean, and again, just being really raw with people, I think one, you feel embarrassed, right? Because you don't want to have to be the institution that cancels, right? And I think anytime, at least for me and I know others, that when something doesn't go well, right, the immediate reaction is, well, what did we do wrong, or how could we have done it better? And certainly we went through that process, on Friday and Saturday. And I'll say this, not that we've been perfect, but we've managed this really well. Our health and wellness people have been terrific. I think our student athletes have taken it seriously and have done a great job. And sometimes you have some bad luck, and we're sitting here scratching our head. Did one or two of those young men, three of them, get it actually through practice, rather than some other way? And so those are all of the things that I guess we're going through and we're processing, and just trying to ensure that we don't let our guard down. And if there's any way that we can do things better, then we're going to do them. But we're evaluating it, and we'll continue to evaluate it.
When that game on Saturday, and I'm going to say when that game on Saturday evening, and there's a kickoff, will you pass out almost from just the relief of that game being played?
It is so real, because I was on the phone last night with Dr. Livingstone, and I said, at 6:30, when we actually kick off, if you see me in the corner, right, it's because I've got tears running down my face, because we finally been able to kick this off. But I think for everybody, we talk about the word joy, and we've talked about it several times within the athletic department, and just there hasn't been a lot of joy since mid-March. And I can say this: when we kick off at 6:30 on ESPNU, that will be a joyous moment, a joyous occasion.
Last thing, you made that decision about a player that has been suspended to not play. Otherwise, you could have possibly played it. And then again, there could have been risks of health of others as well. If this was the Big 12 championship week and the same thing came up, would you make the same decision?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say now, right?
Yeah.
Until you get there, but I don't know, how or why we would change our value system. So yeah, I certainly believe, unless we were forced to do otherwise, I believe we'd make the same decision.
The access we get with you on Tuesdays, among what others get as well, what you were able to do by being on the show Friday after the decision, and also transparency today with everything we've asked. Thanks for your time as always. Appreciate it. Good luck with the rest of the week.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you all. Take
Mack
care.
Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor. He is, when I asked the question about Houston chirping, yeah, I am. Candidly, I am. I'm disappointed in their head football coach, and I've let their athletic director know it. But it's time now for us to move on. There has been chirping. And Dana Holgorsen, I can understand absolutely his frustration among players or anyone else. But it's not as if this was a planned deal when you worked as hard as they did, both schools, both programs, both athletic departments, to get the damn game scheduled. And then to turn around and say, no, we're not going to play. It wasn't because they didn't want to play. It was because they just couldn't. And you heard also why, because they could have absolutely changed their values. And in the end, he even admitted it. We talked about it, but we couldn't do it.
Well, maybe that tells you something about Dana Holgorsen, too.
Well, I mean, and there's a long history of that.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, like, if he wants to be disappointed, absolutely his right. We were all disappointed in that game not being played last weekend, especially with the excitement created when the game was announced as the fill-in. But I feel like I've seen too many comments now at this point to where it's kind of like, all right, we get it, Dana, but now you're making it out to – it's almost like you're trying to recruit somebody or something, you know, like you're – I don't know. It's almost like you and Baylor are going to head-to-head for a recruit, so you're saying every bad thing that you can. But, yeah, he's absolutely been painting it as like a Baylor was scared or they're at fault or and whatever. And I just feel like at one point it's like we get it, dude, but then it crossed the line of now you're just taking shots. And so I can understand where Mack's frustration was coming from because it's not necessary, and I don't really see how it benefits Dana all that much.
All right, and it's part of social media. It is. It's part of that. It's easy to say something when you get. We mentioned this, Craig, yesterday. Billy Umbody, who covers SMU, is next for us. David Hellman, 5 o'clock, and the Cowboys. John McClain, 5:30. Is that it's easy to get on the Twitter. We can do it. You can do it. Well, everyone can be a social justice bully, or badass, or opinion, or whatever, and it's easy to do. And but that was, especially with all the work that was put into getting that game scheduled in the first place.
In a day.
In 18 hours.
Yeah.
And we've seen the stories from Ross Dellinger and Max Olson and others. Yes, absolutely frustrated, maybe even angry, but to then take it to a level of where you start to point fingers to me. And I believe I would have said the same thing. What do you mean? Like, I didn't see that. Did I see any of that when La Tech canceled? Yeah, Tuesday, not Friday.
Yeah. I didn't see Dave Aranda getting on Twitter or doing an interview and being like, La Tech would have been nice if he gave us a little more heads up.
Yeah.
No,
and
he didn't
what
do
I
that.
hope doesn't happen, and sometimes it does, when you feel one way, then all of a sudden you're faced with the same situation, and I don't want Houston to be faced with that, so good luck with them. They have a hell of a team. I think they're going to be really good, and who knows? I'm not so sure who would have won the game on Saturday. All right, so that's Mack Rhoades. We appreciate his time.
I love that he actually even addressed it because not a lot of athletic directors would, but you can tell that he's pissed enough about it to feel the need to say something. So I commend him for being that open when, a lot of guys would choose otherwise.
All right, coming up next, Billy Embody covers SMU. They're really good, too. And they lost a game earlier to TCU. They have Buechele and Roberson and Bentley, the freshman running back.
Ulysses Bentley the fourth.
How about that? That's just a name going to be a running back star.
That's an awesome name.
When we come back, Paul's conversation about SMU. Then David Hellman on the Cowboys and John McClain on the Texans in the NFL. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home. Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Mart, and Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions. Here to help you, your family, and your business. Whether it's great times or tough times, all of us need a bank we can count on. Great people, great technology, dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Safe banking in person and use their online or mobile apps. Convenient drive-through and ATMs at all locations. I actually went through one this morning. And they've got first free checking. And when they say free, they mean free. That's no minimum monthly balance, no monthly service charge, unlimited check writing, and unlimited debit card purchases. Plus, get the First mobile app. Do your banking wherever you are. Check balances, make transfers, pay bills, and transfer funds. The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations to serve you right here at home.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
This is Paul Catalina's College Football Focus.
Michelle back in the end zone, caught, touchdown, third passing touchdown. Kylan Granson pulls this one in.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio, our college football focus. SMU, a big win in this week. Shane Buechele looked like Shane Buechele. They look really, really good. Billy Embody, 24/7 Sports, 20 Stampede joins us. Billy, is this team, I don't know if, I don't want to say better than before, but they don't look to have missed too much of a beat. And I know it's early and I know it's a weird year, but they look pretty good, don't they?
They do. And the thing about it is we, I think, overall kind of underestimated the impact that COVID and no spring and having to do fall camp a certain way so that your guys maybe don't get, exposed to too much up close and personal physicality had on SMU's season opener. And this past week against North Texas, they showed why they needed to get their feet wet and get their, football legs back under them. And it showed with a big win. I mean, Shane Buechele was excellent. All the plays they left out there on the field in San Marcos 2 weeks ago, they made against North Texas. And they, quite frankly, they made it look easy offensively. And defensively, they did a really good job in the first half. 7 points. I think 180 total yards. They did a really nice job on North Texas when the game could have gone, either way, I guess is the way to put it. They shut the door in the first half by the end of it, and then they just kind of cruised to the win. So, yeah, I do think they're better. They're more talented than they were last year. They did lose a lot of veterans off the defensive side, but I mean, this offense especially is clicking, and it showed on Saturday.
Yeah, Shane Buechele, just such a perfect fit for Sonny Dykes over the last couple of years. How much has he changed the perception of now what SMU is when it comes to, oh my gosh, this is a viable place that I can go, and they might wind up being a destination not just for high school recruits, but I would see if you're a transfer, why would you not maybe go to SMU and get a chance to light it up?
Right, and that's really been their model. They've done a really nice job recruiting in the high school ranks. They have each year improved their average recruit rating, and I think the classes overall have been kind of weird in terms of numbers just because of the scholarship situation that they kind of found themselves in. But, yeah, the transfer market has been unbelievably good to SMU. I mean, they have really stacked the roster with some high-quality talent. You mentioned Shane Buechele, Reggie Robertson, Kylan Granson. People forget about him because he's been around now for a while, but he came over from Rice, and he's one of the best tight ends in college football. They've done it with the offensive line. Their new starter, it appears, at right guard, Justin Osborne, came over from Auburn just a few weeks ago, really. So they've addressed it as well on the defensive side of the ball. Cam Jones, Chevin Callaway, Brandon Stevens, Richard Moore, Richard McBride. I mean, they've really stacked the roster with transfers, and when you're especially a grad transfer, they usually look for usually multi-year guys. But if you're a grad transfer and you're 23 years old and, going to play your last or second to last season of college football, come to Dallas. It's a great place to find a job and, take advantage, I think, of all the things that SMU has to offer. That's been the push. And you can get your shot to try to improve your stock as well to go to the NFL. So they've just worked it really, really well.
Yeah, Ulysses Bentley is one of those recruits, and he had a ridiculous game on Saturday, 227 yards in the end zone 3 times. How much does that also make SMU fans salivate at the fact that now not only can you throw the ball over the yard, but you've got a stud running back as well?
Yeah, we've been hyping up Ulysses Bentley for a while now, at least on Pony Stampede, and last year, he ended up taking a red shirt. His path is really interesting. He played quarterback for C.E. King down in the Houston area. He ran a triple option attack and just kind of went under the radar. Syracuse was his only Power 5 offer. None of the in-state Power 5s offered. But SMU saw somebody that was built really well, has a ton of speed. He's one of the fastest guys on SMU's team, and he just needed a year to adjust to the position and get his body ready for a full college football season. And we saw, his talent level, it's unreal. It really is. The plays he makes and the way he makes them look so smooth. Yeah, we'll see how it goes in conference play, but that talent is there. It's been there. And now he just put everybody, I think, on notice that he's going to be one of the better backs in this conference for the next 2 to 3 years.
Billy Embody with us, 24/7 Sports Pony Stampede on our college football focus here on Sikkim 365 Radio. Hey, Billy, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, thanks.
It's the kickoff savings event at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. All 2020 vehicles on the lot are priced to move now. And if you want the best truck, you want a GMC. During Richard Carr's kickoff savings event, qualified buyers will score huge savings like $8,000 off on a 2020 GMC Sierra, or you can save $6,000 on the roomy 3-row 2020 GMC Acadia. If you're ready to step up to ultimate luxury and style, let Richard Carr bring the Cadillac experience to you. Drive one of the exhilarating Cadillac SUVs like the 2020 Cadillac XT4, XT5, or the 7-passenger Cadillac XT6. Get yours today starting at $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac. Or find one of the best sedan values on the market with the exhilarating 2020 Cadillac CT4 starting at $32,995. You have big selections, great prices, free oil changes with a new purchase, plus VIP priority warranty service on all vehicles purchased at Richard Carr Motors. They stand by to support all their customers with award-winning service because they are the people you can count on. A local family dealer run by Baylor alumni. They want the chance to earn your business now and for every car down the road. So stop by their daily disinfected showroom and see their safety-focused staff, or they can bring the test drive to your home because your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them online at richardcarr.com or Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, specializing in diagnosis and treatment of any and all sport-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service to Central Texas. They tackle all surgical and non-surgical problems that arise from an active lifestyle. Trust the doctors that Baylor trust, and when injuries sideline you, don't wait for Monday. Join us at 8:30 on Saturday mornings for a post-game injury evaluation clinic. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. We get you back in the game.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
What season is it? It's truck season at Allen Samuels. Ram trucks are raring to go, ready to work and play, and all feature the best deals of the year during Ram Power Days. Come get your brand new Ram Lone Star at Allen Samuels with 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Or choose up to $9,250 in bonus cash and incentives. Ram, the highest pickup owner loyalty in America. Shop, apply, buy online. We deliver. Ram Power Days at Allen Samuels.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
How often have you said it's time to get in shape? Every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And oh, there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday 7 to 7, and personal trainers Christy London and Randall Court. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna, and now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere, and yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com.
So here we go. Dallas needs this without timeouts. Zerline, little squib. It's got to go 10 yards, and it's close. Zerline may have come through. Who's got it? The Cowboys have it. Do you believe that? Why did Atlanta pick it up? They let it go. They could have picked it up and ended the game, but Dallas has recovered, and they're not done yet.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing his time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
We have Mack Rhoades, right, Paul? That'll be up.
It's up.
It's up on all the different Twitter feeds and also up on Sikkim365.com very soon. We're not joined by David Hellman. We did yesterday have Brad Sham, voice of the Cowboys, after one of the most bizarre endings to a football game in the history of ever. David Hellman, his thoughts. David, was the spinning football like a spinning top, like someone in a trance, and the Falcons just got mesmerized?
You know, and I hate to let a bunch of professional football players off the hook because, you know, somebody should have coached them a little bit better. But I think it's a lot easier of an explanation than that. I equate it to a ground ball down the foul line in baseball. You know, 9 out of 10 times, you know, when a ball dribbles down the foul line, the first or third baseman always has a choice to make. You can make a play on the ball, which always, you know, there's always the risk that you screw it up or you let the foul line make the play for you. 99.9% of the time, that's an easy call. But I think we've all watched enough baseball to see that one freak play where the ball dies in just the wrong spot and sits on the foul line and the hitter or the batter gets a base hit out of it. And I think that's what we saw the other day is Greg Zuerlein hit that thing to perfection where it just died at the 10-yard mark and C.J. Goodwin was ready to fall on it. Sure, I mean, somebody from Atlanta should have jumped on it, but it was very obvious that they didn't want to touch it and make it a live ball early and make that easy for Dallas. And I think they just got caught in a 1 in a million scenario where it worked out perfectly.
David, the win was so huge there because the Cowboys, if they're 0-2 and playing like they were, this is a season that could get away from them pretty quickly. And not that it still can't, given all the problems. How big emotionally for that team was getting that W, especially as bad as they played in the first quarter?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for so many reasons, I think it gives you confidence. You know, gives you confidence that you can pull a game out of the fire. They couldn't do that last year. I think they were 0-6 in games decided by one possession. They could not find a way to do that last year. So to get that under their belts this early in the season and believe in themselves that they can pull that off, I think that's huge. You obviously stay at 500. You're not too far down in the standings. And obviously you're going to play arguably the best player in the NFL right now in Russell Wilson, and that's not going to be easy. So, you know, obviously the goal is to win every game, but it gives you a little bit of peace of mind knowing that you're not staring 0-3 in the face. So, I mean, it goes without saying. I don't think you can underestimate how big that is for a bunch of reasons.
David, I know you hear from a lot of Dak haters probably in your mentions and whatnot, but how big of a disappointment must that have been for them on Sunday given his performance? I mean, just how good was he and how much more room do you think he has to grow?
Man, that's the annoying thing about the quote-unquote haters is that, like, they're not disappointed because at the end of the day, they want the Cowboys to win. And I'm sure, you know, a Dak hater would say, well, you know, if he would do that more often, then I would like him a lot more, which, I mean, it's absolutely laughable because the evidence is there that that's who Dak has been for 2 or 3 years at this point. You know, it hasn't always translated to wins. Like, if you go back to last year, I mean, Dak had games like that against Green Bay and Minnesota and a couple other teams where he played out of his mind and did everything he could to help get a win, and it just didn't happen. And ultimately, you know, that's the stone cold truth in the NFL is that wins and losses are what people care about. So I don't think it really deters Dak haters because they'll just move the goalposts and say, well, he's got to do it consistently. He's got to do it in the playoffs. He's got to win a Super Bowl. And, I mean, it's true. It's true. Like, that is the measuring stick when you're the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But it's just another piece of evidence that this is who Dak has been for a while. And you can either, you know, accept that or just keep cherry-picking stats until he proves all of them wrong.
Am I right that, I don't break it all down like you guys do, but that Dak is more comfortable when the game's in a whirlwind, free-for-all, hair-on-fire type situation?
I mean, I think he would probably tell you he prefers to be like comfortably ahead. I mean, you think back to his rookie year. I mean, the Cowboys went 13-3, and for the most part, a lot of those games were pretty secure by the fourth quarter. I mean, that was kind of their recipe for success is jump out early and lean on Zeke in the second half. So think Dak feels comfortable playing a lot of ways, but what I will say is I just think he's nails when it comes to pressure situations. It doesn't ever seem to faze him. Being down 20, being in a one-score game, needing to convert to keep the game alive, having pass rushers in your face, you name it. And it's not to say he's perfect. I don't think he's the best quarterback in the NFL, but his poise is one thing that I think really sets him apart. He never seems bothered by any situation.
David, on defense, it does not look to me like a lot of guys are comfortable yet. I mean, I saw like what happened with Jeff Kavanaugh and Everson Griffin today, which got way out of hand and ridiculous. But, it doesn't seem like he's comfortable yet. I mean, and he just joined the team later. It doesn't seem like DeMarcus Lawrence is completely comfortable and all the guys along the defensive line. Do you think Mike Nolan starts making adjustments to make them comfortable, or do they make adjustments to get more comfortable within that scheme?
I think it's on both of them, and Mike Nolan actually said that yesterday. He's like, it's on us to work and get them more comfortable rushing together as a 4-man unit, but it's also on them to be consistently working so that they can win in the one-on-one opportunities that they have. I thought, Everson on Twitter today when he was talking to Jeff, he made a really valid point, which is, it's week 2, it's a long season. I'm still getting my feet underneath me. He basically signed the night before camp and wasn't able to get into practice for a solid 10 days. Well, it was only an 18-day camp. So it makes a lot of sense that a lot of guys aren't completely ready to be playing full-speed football. And I completely sympathize with that. I really do. But at the same time, it's football. It's not baseball where you can work your way out of a slump over 10, 12, 15 games and nobody really notices, because if you're not getting sacks, you're not contributing. If you can't get Russell Wilson pressured or on the ground this weekend, you're probably going to lose this game. And all of a sudden you're 1-2, and that can swing your entire season. So I sympathize with these guys that they probably aren't completely comfortable, but the unfortunate truth is that it is a results-oriented business, and the Dallas pass rush hasn't been producing those through 2 games.
Speaking of results, David, I know it's just the one-game sample size, but what did you think of the way Dalton Schultz stepped into a position, obviously, that was hit with the loss of Blake Jarwin?
Hell of a response. And, I include myself in that. I think everybody kind of dogpiled on Dalton. I probably said on y'all's show, I said it a bunch of times, that if the tight end position doesn't step up here in the next week or two, you're probably looking at outside candidates because it just doesn't seem like there's a capable option. Well, Dalton Schultz rose to the occasion. I mean, granted, he had a penalty and he did fumble in the first quarter, but I think his stat line was 9 catches for 88 and a touchdown. If he can contribute that on a regular basis on top of all the other talent on this offense, then he might just make us all eat our words. And I don't want to speak too soon. I think, consistency is going to be the thing for a young player like that. You got to prove that you can be relied on week in and week out. But, for your first game without the starter and everybody who follows this team is doubting you, I thought it was a hell of a response on his part.
Yeah, it just, David, there's wins that don't mean anything 7 weeks from now. But with the division and what we've now seen with the Giants and Barkley, and they struggle, and Washington was back to reality against obviously a team in Arizona that's kind of fun to watch, and Philadelphia, they can't protect Wentz. And I mean, you go 0-2, and then you have Seattle. No matter how bad the division is, eventually the odds of 100 years of the NFL are odds over 100 years of the NFL. And it's I'm not saying it's destiny by any means, because they could have easily lost by 20, but is that one of those that 7, 10, 12 weeks from now we look back and go, my God, remember that one?
I mean, I kind of go both ways on that. I can see both sides of the fence. I mean, I thought about that when Paul asked me the question about, kind of salvaging the 500 record. But sitting here right now, it sure looks like 8 or 9 wins would be enough to win this division. I mean, you can't afford to bank on that, but I don't know that this loss bites you as hard in the NFC East as it would if you were in the NFC West or the NFC South. But having said that, yeah, I mean, that is what makes the NFL so fun. That kind of goes back to my point about the pass rush. Is like, baseball, you lose and you'll be back on the field in 24 hours trying to fix it. Football, you only get so many chances at this. And, you're half a second late hitting Russell Wilson. What would have been a sack turns into a touchdown and you lose the game because of it. And then in December, you're saying, oh, man, if we had just gotten home on that one snap, we might be in the playoffs right now. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a stretch to say, let's say, week 17 is on deck and, let's say the Cowboys are 9-6 and they're playing for the division championship and you're sitting there thinking like, oh, my God, if that onside kick dribbles one different way, we're not in this position. I mean, that's what makes football so fun is there's just really not a margin for error in the NFL.
David, one of the things that I was pleasantly surprised at was Dalton Schultz, who, after kind of a rough game last week, and, of course, the fumble early on in the game, had a really nice game. And, everybody's worried about tight end, but he stepped up pretty well in his first real start.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about him. He kicked ass for a guy that everybody was ready to bury. I mean, and I think maybe there's something that can be said for knowing ahead of time, maybe. And obviously, it's the pros. You should be ready at all times, but that's not human nature all the time. So maybe Dalton Schultz wasn't quite ready to be thrust into that spotlight. He went into that Rams game thinking Blake Jarwin would be doing most of the heavy lifting, but given a week to practice and prepare to be the number one tight end, he looks the part. And I think the big key for him is going to be consistency.
So, David, Russell Wilson's obviously a big-time player. I think that goes without saying. But DK Metcalf, the rest of the Seattle roster, how do you feel Dallas stacks up with these guys?
Oh, man. Boy, it was 79 combined points on Sunday, and I mean, hopefully it's not hopefully there's not a first quarter like the one we saw the other day, but I'm not going to be surprised if it's a similar situation. I mean, Russ is playing out of his mind even by his standards. I think he's got 9 touchdowns through 2 games. He's playing with his hair on fire, and I think the combo of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett's one of the most underrated in the entire NFL. So yeah, I mean, this feels like the winner of this game is probably going to need 38. I think I read on Twitter earlier that the Seattle defense has given up 47 plays of 10-plus yards, which is worst in the league. So, Jamal Adams is there. I know they've got some names, Bob Wagner, but I don't think that defense has really come together either. They don't have much in the way of a pass rush themselves. So with Dak playing the way he's played the first 2 weeks and Russell Wilson, like I said, I mean, we might be lucky if we see 2 combined punts all day on Sunday. And personally, I'm here for it. That sounds fun.
All right, anything else, guys?
Nope.
David Hellman with us. David, thanks for jumping on with us. Glad we could have you Tuesdays at 5. That's David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com. It's CJ, it's Armstrong, it's Paul, Craig. I'm David Smoke. Thank you for listening whenever you do, and we appreciate all of the feedback from today, from the Pat Combs interview to Mack Rhoades and his Truth Serum. And my goodness, Max Olson's already picked up on it. And, of course, the first 3 replies to Max Olson and Mack Rhoades' response are from 3 Houston Cougar fans, and that's even better.
Yep.
All right, when we come back, we continue. Again, John McClain in about 10, 12 minutes. A couple more things to get to. Looking ahead to the weekend in the Big 12. We hope all of the games played. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Brotherwell Brewing is just a stone's throw from where we're sitting in our studio right now. They're on East Bridge Street, a couple of blocks down here. And this is some of the best beer you can have, and it's made right here in our community. That's their dream, to have people enjoy things that are made in their community by people from their community. And they've got some great, if you're a fan of craft beer, how about the Act of Faith? A Belgian-style triple. It's fantastic. Shelter and Haze, a hazy IPA. Low Earth Orbit is their classic Pilsner-style beer. And right now they've got the Fest beer coming out, which is just released, and that's their take on an Oktoberfest-style beer, because we're getting to that time of year, and they're hoping to maybe do some sort of Oktoberfest party if things can change and some of the restrictions get lifted and we get better. Or one of their most popular, the Texas Forever, the red IPA that balances the piney bitter notes of an IPA with a malty balance that gives a subtle red fruit character like grapes and even peach. And on Saturday, they will be out with us at Sikkim 365's tailgate location at Brazos Parking. They're right out there, so come by and see them on Saturdays. Or you can do curbside service at the brewery on East Bridge Street. Check them out at brotherwell.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Hey, it's time to stretch your legs. Jeep Adventure Days are here at Allen Samuels. Get special financing on the granddaddy of Jeeps, Jeep Gladiator, now at 3.9 for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Grab hold of Jeep's rugged subcompact, Jeep Renegade with 0% for 72, no payments for 90 days, or choose up to $5,750 in cash. Let's get going with amazing deals from your friend in the car business, Allen Samuels.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The Sikkim 365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, we've got a few questions on the various ways you can reach us. 1-254-339-1122. The Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line is available. We took phone calls off the top, and thanks to those who are a part of that. When we've done that a couple of times in the last 2 or 3 days, what was it, Thursday, Paul? Was it Thursday's show? And then also today as well with Gunny, who's taking heat because I said Johnny and the board, those who like to get under Gunny's skin are under his skin. Mm-hmm. But also on the Twitter, social media platforms, at Craig Smoke, at Paul Catalina, at David Smoke, at Sikkim 365 Radio, at Sikkim 365 Regular. Now Armstrong, who Armstrong, what is you want to give this out? I'm not just, you're
Sure.
kind of out there now.
Yeah, I think I'm obliged.
Is it Sims Armstrong?
At Armstrong Sims.
Well, yeah.
Sims has 2 M's.
Like Phil Sims, the quarterback of the New York Giants. Are you related to him?
I am not.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
CJ, are you on Twitter?
I am, but I'm not going to lie. I could not tell you my ad off the top of my head.
Don't remember it. Just don't, because I got a feeling that with all the things that have been said on this show today, that the best philosophy on Twitter, which is I'm the complete opposite of this, is John McClain, who has 100,000 people who follow him, maybe 900,000. He tweets something, and sometimes during a game, if he's watching the Texans or Baylor, he'll just go off. He never looks at the responses.
He turned off his notifications.
It's not even notifications. And I need to learn that. I think it's rude.
Well, no, it's not. Twitter's rude. Twitter in itself is rude.
I know, but you can't help it. All right, so you have.
I can help it. I can help it. John McClain can help it.
The Willis Law Firm chat room. Here's a couple of questions from the Willis Law Firm chat room. I don't know this answer. Lewis Hawk. Will the city of Waco shuttle buses be running Saturday from downtown after the stadium if the game is on? I would think, even with the capacity down to 25%, that we'll still have ways to get to the stadium from various parts of the city of Waco.
I'm upset with Mack Rhoades now, because now I got Houston fans in my mentions.
I know. Oh, no, you knew that was going to happen. And Franco, he goes, I know there's a conversation about testing out of contact tracing, but is there a chance this rule actually gets changed? It may be like pass interference or targeting, how they might make the rule and then realize along the way. But right now you wonder, and they have such a difficult job. I know sometimes they take a lot of heat, CDC, county, city, whoever, the health officials, school districts. They're trying to do it right. But, some probably are more conservative than others, and it's kind of like, well, it's the county's decision, and that's kind of a cop out. But I understand that's what we have, our tiers of what we do.
The whole issue got political from the jump, so it's hard for us to hear and I don't know, we've never even heard the real science of all this, so it's hard to understand all this. I think the worst part about COVID-19 is that we're all confused about it. It's just so confusing. There's not a kind of if I get a cold, I go home and I take some cold medicine and, I try not to, but nobody's telling me not to go anywhere for 2 weeks. All these different things, it's just, we're all so confused about it. So then when, they enact policies based on something we're already confused about at many levels, it's not just the people, experiencing the policies, it's the people that making them. It's all big one spider web of, I don't know, all the time.
Yeah. And you're right about how, that's just kind of, it seems like the target's always moving, and maybe it is because it's the unknown or whatever it might be. But now you've got the flu season about to start up. Mm-hmm. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
We're all going to have to go build basements in Texas, which you don't do, just to never see the sunshine ever again. So, Mack Rhoades.
Yeah, no,
you're good at that. You're good about the silent assassin type of stuff, the way you respond.
Well,
I'm not. I just throw it out there in my heart, right there on my sleeve.
I had to respond to one guy. He said, let's see, I just posted what Mac's quote was, and this guy, Kook Sauce. So he's clearly, he's thinking right down the middle. He's not, swayed one way or the other. Kook Sauce said, making excuses to cancel the future home and home games. And I said, if that means you leaving my mentions, I'm all for it. So I do take shots from time to time.
But you say that. I couldn't do that. I couldn't be that. Mm-hmm. I couldn't be you killed him. And I can't do that. I want to kind of keep him alive on the sidewalk as they're trying to breathe.
So he said that Mack was making excuses to cancel future home and homes. And I said, well, if that means you're leaving my mentions, I'm all for it. He also said, I'm sure the Big 12 told BU football, you can't let them punk us and talk about us like that. I'm sure they did. I'm sure you're right.
Yeah, I'm sure Bowlesby picked up the phone.
Yeah.
Mack,
this is
have
the
you
kind
been
of
seeing your Twitter timeline?
This is the kind of stupidity I'm talking about. And that's why you don't respond to it, because it's so dumb.
Have people heard Bob Bowlesby speak?
Yeah.
Bob Bowlesby would be. I would think that the only thing he would say to anybody well, that was That was a troubling remark that someone made.
Well, can you imagine
he's
saying,
such an academic.
Mac, if you looked at your Twitter timeline, I don't have one.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go Cougs, another straight down the middle guy. Honestly, this is just the most transparent posturing. We would have played the home and home if Houston hadn't been mean after we backed out at the last minute.
They're not going to play the home and home.
That's what I said to him. I said, the home and home is still on. What are you talking about? I have yet to get a response, and I doubt I will. And if I do, it won't be anything intelligent. Coug Dude. So we got Let's Go Cougs, Coug Sauce, and Coug Dude. Bunch
Coug
of
sauce.
just absolute, intelligent folks. Probably Aranda using Mack as his pawn, since Dana's comments were likely directed at Aranda, who, I could technically say the word, but I won't, who blanked out on the game. So, yes, Aranda is using Mack as a pawn to take a shot at Dana Holgorsen over Dana's comments because Aranda was afraid to play Houston even though the game was scheduled less than a week ago. I mean, I love fans. Fans are great. But the fans that are so blinded by their loyalty to colors and a logo, I can't comprehend that. I don't associate with that kind of stupidity because I don't let something like a school or a logo or a color determine my way of thinking. So I could look outside the box at any situation, but Let's Go Cougs and Coug Dude and Coug Sauce, they're incapable of doing that clearly. So I'm glad that
I'm not responding to this because this is your timeline. Now I want to jump in. Here's one of them.
Gringo Coug just called me a B word on Twitter.
You know what's unprofessional, Mac? Saying this on the radio show instead of a phone conversation with Pesman.
That's what he said.
That's exactly what he said.
He's already called him.
Oh, my God. Please respond to that one.
I wouldn't respond to any of them. Look,
all Baylor fans go to @JCampbell409 and just unleash.
Why? Why? You're just creating the cycle. That's what the problem is.
I can't.
You know what? Here's the thing. I would like we should have some sort of exchange where I do something that like I haven't done in a while, and then you do something like you don't go on Twitter except to tweet out. The only thing your tweets are what's on the show and our things, and see how much happier your life is for 2 weeks.
I think he was acting B was not you, but towards Mack Rhoades. But he won't lose an ounce of sleep.
See, you just blew right past.
Well, that's the thing that dude.
You blew right past it.
That's the thing, though. Okay, that's the thing, though, is that dude could be talking about me, but would that person say that to me? Absolutely not. 99% chance they wouldn't.
So I'm going to do this. Effective immediately.
I'll do something with you. Like you pick something and I'll do it.
Okay, so if I tweet something like the Mack Rhoades quote, which Craig put it up and Max Olson put it up, and I'm not allowed to respond?
You cannot, you can't. We'll do 2 weeks. And you pick something for me to do. I'll do it. I'll do something with you. I'll do like whatever. This is your purge. I'll do something else.
But what if it's someone who's just an idiot?
This is a buddy thing. Like you and I are buddies. I'm doing it with you,
But what if it's a legitimate, someone asks me a question and I can answer it for them
Well,
I do?
Answer the, like, once.
Yeah, you can respond to regular stuff.
Like, hey, what time is so-and-so on the show today? 4:30. That's fine. That's the stuff you can put on Twitter, but you don't get in the muck. You are going to walk on the sidewalk of Twitter the whole time.
For 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks.
I can't do that.
And you get to pick anything.
I can't do it for the rest of the show.
I'm doing something with you. You can torture me. I don't care. I'm trying to help you. That's what friends do. I'm about to, pick something, anything. I don't care.
So now you got me on a little thing where I'm responding to people. So, Coug Dude, who normally I would just mute and move on. Like, you should see my mute list. I think half of Twitter's on the mute list. I swear. Coug Dude said, unprofessional is waiting to the last second to cancel a game when your opponent has already traveled all the way to your stadium.
They weren't there. The stadium equipment truck. Here's from the 713.
And my response to him was cry more.
Oh, my God. See, 713, Smokey, tell Craig to keep the roast coming. Also, I'm giving out to my former roommate, Armstrong. This is Jack Wheeler from the Woodlands. Is this someone you know?
This is someone I know, correct? Yes.
Should I get him to tell us more about you?
Maybe not.
We'll hold that in our back pocket.
Maybe not.
All right. Okay, John
afraid.
McClain. I'm gonna get advice from John about your advice to me. I can't do it for 2 weeks.
I'm willing to do something with you. You can even pick it.
I don't know if I can do that though.
You can't pick something to make
asking
me
you to do something, and then I know I can't even get through the night doing it.
It's not picking something for you. It's that he can't.
We're trying to
physically do it.
You can make me a better person, and I can make you a better person. That's friendship.
This is part of. I love this.
Okay, no, there you go. There it is. There it is. There's the admission.
Let me see.
Like,
here.
I love it. See, you love it.
I'm upset because Craig's getting more people angry at him than they are.
See,
at me.
there you go. We're getting the psychology of this
because I'm old and they feel sorry for me. That let's not pick a fight with him. Let's go against the younger guy.
Yeah.
And see, if I was to jump in the middle of his mentions, then your daddy's cake. That's like people are so gutless. I can't do it, Paul.
All right, that's fine. You've had a lot of willpower and all other things in your life. I think you can do this.
All right, when we come back, we'll ask John McClain about this and his thoughts about Mack Rhoades throwing down on the school in his backyard, Houston, and the Texans and the Cowboys and the NFL and the injuries and the coaches being fined for no mask. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Pickup Outfitters, Jay Errett, they have now been in business for over 20 years. 220 Lake Air Drive, the website. It's real simple, createacommotion.com. And oh, by the way, they do. If you want or you need a bed cover for your pickup truck, they have them. They have retractable, hard folding, one-piece lids. They have hard and soft roll-up, removable, paint to match, covers to fit any budget, any truck, any size bed, and they also, again, will make sure the colors match whatever your pickup. It's not going to be like you have a whatever color red and this purple. They can make sure that it matches. Shelter from the elements. Like today, the last couple of days, it's been nasty and rainy, and today's the first day of fall, and so we can almost feel the weather changing. We can. Now, it's still going to have some hot days here pretty soon, but it helps protect whatever's in the back of your pickup truck from the elements, the sun, the dust, the rain. Nobody's business what's in the back of your pickup truck with a bed cover. They can't see what's in there. They can't get interested or like, oh, what's in there? And also the security, extra storage space, and so much more. If you want to dice up your SUV, your pickup truck or minivan, Pickup Outfitters at 220 Lake Air Drive is where you can go. And, of course, professionally installed with their lifetime installation guarantee and free warranty assistance. Come by and see the showroom and the displays at 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi, great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco, house-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lakeyard Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Extra blockers, fake to Johnson, throw in the end zone, caught by Fells, touchdown. He beats Levine.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
NFL, of course, is working in on week number 3. Baylor trying to get their first game in. And John, we have to let you know this, and I was going to send you the quote, but we had Mack Rhoades on earlier today, and I asked him if he's disappointed in the chirping from the Houston side on the game being canceled, and he absolutely came out with this quote. Yes, candidly, I am disappointed in the head football coach. I am. It was unprofessional, and I let the athletic director know it, but we have to move on, and we will.
Good. I was asked by U of H alum today if I thought the game should be canceled. I said, well, as much as I'm sure you guys would like to have played Baylor when they didn't have one position they could play, and I don't know if that'd be quarterback, the offensive line, defensive line, wide receiver, that would have given you guys a better chance to win the game. I said, you should be glad you didn't have to go to Waco. So, yeah, I haven't thought much about that because Holgerston hadn't gotten a lot of attention down here about it, but I'll make sure people down here know what Mac told you guys so he can stir it up a little more down here.
Yeah, good. That's great. That's wonderful. All right, Paul.
All right, John, the Texans, they've got a really tough opening schedule. I mean, they draw the Steelers this week after the Chiefs and Ravens, and Ben Roethlisberger's back, and that team looks like they're pretty good. 0-3, if that happens, how do they dig out of that hole?
Well, 2 years ago, they started 0-3, and they won 9 in a row and finished 11-5. But when they lost those 3 to start the season, they were all one-score games. Now, they weren't against teams like Kansas City and Baltimore, might be the 2 best teams in the league, along with Green Bay. And they played closer. They've lost by 14 and 16 in these games. And the thing is, they haven't looked good on offense. I could understand the defense struggling. It's weird. You play Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, and you give up 4 short touchdown passes when those 2 threw 7 against you in 2 regular season games last year. You'd think, well, these games would be closer, but they haven't been because they can't stop the run. Their run defense just can't stop the clock. It was given a chance. They're giving up 170 yards a game over their last 11 games. Now they go to Pittsburgh. The Steelers are one of the 2-0 teams that has played bad teams like the Bears and Buffalo. People are getting all fired up about them being 2-0. I think they need to look at the schedule. Steelers beat the Giants and the Broncos. They're 0-4. Steelers are about to play their 3rd consecutive team that is winless, just like the Texans are playing their 3rd consecutive undefeated team. And Pittsburgh's not in the same class with Kansas City and Baltimore. But Ben Roethlisberger has looked good after the long layoff. Their defense is great. Texans still are having problems protecting Deshaun Watson, and Pittsburgh has the NFL's best pass rush. It could get ugly.
John, what did you think of Atlanta's collapse against Dallas and Dallas's comeback? I mean, got to give the Cowboys obviously a ton of credit, but, man, a tough one for Atlanta, obviously. What did you make of that outcome?
Well, the Falcons are supposed to be a good defensive team, a sound defensive team, because their coach, Dan Quinn, is a longtime defensive coordinator. But I'm surprised the owner, Arthur Blank, didn't make it fire as special teams coach. Watching them go brain dead at the end of that game on that watermelon kick is just mystifying. That you're looking at those players, watching it roll, thinking it's got to go 10 yards, and I'm sure Falcons fans were screaming, fall on the ball, and Cowboys fans are screaming, what the bleep? The fact that they were not falling on the ball. Now, Prescott with his 3 rushing touchdowns, 450 yards, that was great. What's scary? Cowboys defense. Cowboys played the Rams. They're 2-0. They played the Falcons 0-2. Atlanta's averaging 32, but they're giving up 39. Now the Cowboys play Seattle. Russell Wilson has 9 touchdown passes. Can you imagine what he's going to do to that defense? It looks to be, should be high scoring, should be fun. The Seahawks almost lost to Cam Newton, and the Patriots stopped the last play, Newton on a run. But I just, to come from that kind of deficit and to score the way they did at the end, that'll tell Mike McCarthy from now on, he can tell them, guys, we're not out of it, because they proved they weren't out of it. And it was great they won, because otherwise they'd probably be looking at an 0-3 start like the Texans.
John, am I correct in saying Dan Quinn was already on pretty thin ice as it is? What do you think somebody in his position has to do the rest of the way to try and find some job security?
Last season, they started slow. Everybody thought Quinn was going to be fired. They finished fast, did not make the playoffs. So one reason he's able to keep his job, he's a really popular coach. Mm-hmm. The media likes him, fans like him, and the owner likes him. And everybody likes Dan Quinn and was glad he was able to come back. But I don't think a fast finish and another slow start to not make the playoffs, well, it'll get him fired, and they'll bring somebody else in there. So they need to turn it around and be a legitimate contender, because right now, you know, the Buccaneers don't look good. They beat Carolina, so what? And New Orleans, last night, boy, watching Drew Brees trying to throw the ball down the field, I felt sorry for him. So right now, Tampa and New Orleans, even though they're 1-1, don't look good. So if the Falcons could turn it around, they'd have a chance to win the division. All we know is Matt Rhule's Panthers are going to finish last.
Yeah, no, they are. John, with the Texans, that's a tough schedule. At Kansas City to open up a season, and then the Ravens, and now the Steelers. You know, the Cowboys were about to be 0-2, and then playing Seattle. That's about the same thing. I know the odds eventually the schedule gets a little easier, but man, 0-3 in the history of the NFL, what are the odds of teams that make the playoffs after 0-3?
Well, the Texans are just looking at what they did 2 years ago when they bounced back and finished 11-5 and won the division before they snuck it up in the playoffs. And they turned that 0-3 into a 2-3 with overtime victories over Indy and Dallas. Problem this year, after I picked them 0-3, 1-3 to beat Minnesota here. I'm feeling good about that. Then I picked them to beat Jacksonville. Jacksonville's been a huge surprise. They play at Tennessee and they host Green Bay. That's the first 7 games. And I picked them for the season to lose to Tennessee and beat the Packers. And right now I'm wondering if they can come within 30 of the Packers. But they better be 3-4, because after that they only play 2 teams that had winning records last year, Tennessee and New England, and both are here. So I look for an 0-3 start, and I look for a fast finish. But right now, if they don't get their offense together, it's discombobulated with first-time play caller Tim Kelly. Nobody's sharp, including Deshaun Watson. And I tell you a great stat. 33 games Watson started in regular season going back to the start of the 2018 season. They scored a touchdown the opening drive one time. I'm writing a column about that right now, about them playing from behind all the time, which is never good, and they know it. And whatever they're doing, they need to change it.
John, the NFL is super serious about masks. The coaches that pulled their mask down or didn't wear one at all got popped for fines. What do you think about that?
Well, Sean Payton was not wearing one last night, an open defiance. Some others wear them and they pull them down, and I don't blame them because you can't yell. You're trying to yell, and they've got that artificial crowd noise, so I can understand it. It was raised on Pro Football Talk today, considering everybody gets tested every day in the NFL. Why should masks be required on the sideline? But Sean Payton should get a bigger fine. And if they really and truly wanted to stop it, finding a coach making $6 or $7 million a year, $100,000 is not a big deal. But if you give them a 15-yard penalty, they'll keep that mask on.
Yeah, that's some cash in the old deposit savings
that
account.
adds up. Yeah, you got a long way to go for the rest of this season, and so yeah, you're gonna probably put those masks on. John, I know some have attributed this to the kind of a stunted start to the season, but obviously injury is a big storyline this past week. Saquon Barkley, for example, your thoughts on just the way injuries played a pivotal role in this last weekend's games?
The 49ers lost more than anybody. They blamed the surface at MetLife Stadium. Now they got to play MetLife Stadium a second week in a row. They didn't go back to San Francisco. They went to the Greenbrier in West Virginia to practice this week. So the NFL has a field guy that signs off on the surface before every game. So the league said there's nothing wrong with it. And the NFLPA does not agree with that. They want more testing done. And I feel terrible. 49ers have lost Nick Bosa for the season. He's lost Solomon Thomas, former number 2 overall pick for the season. Quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo for a few games. Running back Mostert for a while, and may have lost others. But they have dilapidated at several positions. And I think it's going to be like it was in 2011 when they had the lockout and players didn't work out the way they were supposed to, like they would have if they hadn't had the lockout. And they kept track of all the injuries that year. I think this is a survival of the fittest.
The Astros are going to make the playoffs because of nobody else is as good as they are, and they're at the very bottom of the heap. Are they good enough? Is there enough talk down in Houston that if they can just get in, that everything kicks in because of what they've done the last 2 or 3 years?
You mean they're still playing?
Yeah, I think they are.
That answers your question.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let me be honest. If Justin Verlander had been able to come back, it would have been Verlander, Greinke, and McCullers as the top 3. But he can't. So it's Greinke, McCullers, and Jose Uribe or Framber Valdez. They're hitters. I thought they would hit well this year. The only ones who haven't been a total disappointment, left fielder Michael Brantley and DH Kyle Tucker. The others, Gurriel, Bregman, especially Altuve, he's been awful, and Correa have all been huge disappointments. Springer's finally put together some power, but those guys are not near where they usually are, and there will be no sympathy from anybody if they go down in 2 games and get ready for a long off season in which they're not going to have Verlander. They've lost their closer. They've got Brantley and Springer's contracts expiring. Gurriel's contract expires. It will not be the same team next season.
Paul, anything else?
Nope.
Greg? Greatness of John McClain, Waco native, of course, Waco Trib alum, and also a Baylor alum. John, thank you very much.
I actually
Thank you, guys.
I did want to say, John's going to need to come by the studio next time he's in Waco.
Hey, Jonathan, next time you're in town, we are like within, is it about a half a mile from McClain Stadium?
I know where you are. I've retweeted all those pictures y'all put out there. Well, that's great. I'm happy for you, and I can't wait to see your new dig.
We did a poll of who we wanted and who we needed to have in the studio, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It was Grant Teaff, John McClain, and then others like Mulkey and Drew and whoever else,
Yeah, you had 2 people voting, and they were my family.
Yeah. Thank you, John. Greatness.
Thank you, guys.
Hall of Fame John McClain on Tuesday. Boy, See, there's a challenge with him.
Yeah.
He will get off that line quickly.
I was trying to get to my phone.
He will get off that line very quickly. All
I
right.
had to throw that in there because this is like the new toy that you kind of forget about it, even though we're sitting right in it. So, yeah, John's definitely somebody who comes to Waco often enough that the next time he comes in, I'm sure he would love to come and check out the new digs here, and then that'll go for obviously a lot of other people, but definitely very appreciative of Grant Taff and his family for coming over here yesterday.
Yeah, that was so much fun, and the response is fantastic. It really was. So we have a break here. One more to
we're
go.
done. We're
done.
just
We get
take
to
it
go.
this.
All right, Craig, let's see how you and your Houston fan base is doing.
Oh, I think it's slowed down because of the first couple of responses I gave. I think let people know I was going to be playing around too much.
See, there's another thing. If you do respond and you just got an edge to them, to the responses, they'll back away. I'm just kind of mean in a nice way.
I kind of want to do one of those videos like that guy did, like back in the day, like leave Brittany alone.
Yeah. No, so like the Coug dude said unprofessional, waiting to the last second to cancel a game, blah, 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 and I told him to cry more. And then he said, that sounds like what Mack Rhoades is doing. So there's Coug dude. Got a nice little zip on that one.
None of these guys listen to the interview.
They don't listen
nor
to anything.
do
That's what I'm saying. They're sitting there going, I am a Houston fan. Whatever anybody says against Houston is automatically wrong, and I won't believe it. And so, anybody who says anything negative, they're automatically the bad guy. Mack wasn't crying. I think Mack was being kind of a badass, quite frankly, in some ways, by addressing it. He could have easily done the simple thing and just glossed over it or moved around it or whatever. And he said, their head football coach was being unprofessional. That's what he said. How often do we hear that from ADs? So I don't think it's crying. I think it's just letting it be known that, hey, we see what you're saying, and we're not going to sit there and just sit back and let you take pot shots because you're upset about it. We're upset about it too. Doesn't make it like we were trying to do this intentionally. They tried to schedule you in less than a week's time. That's what's so dumb about these responses of, there goes the future home and home, or they didn't want to play us. They didn't want to play you. They just signed to play you in a few days' time and then added 2 more games to that. That's what I would do if I don't want to do something, is add more to doing that something. So it's just dumb. So dumb.
Brian Etheridge, they have someone at the cash register trying to ring up their big gulp. That's why it slowed down. But seriously, I mean...
Actually, I think Coug Dude's here with the pizzas we ordered a little while ago.
It's not. It's ridiculous.
No, I would not have a pee. Can you imagine?
Yeah, but it's ridiculous that people are so adherent to their collective of...
It's weird, man.
Of my school... And every time something happens, my school does everything right. No, they don't. No one does. No one does.
No, nobody does.
I am hoping, and it would only be the possibility it could happen even on Friday of this week. You hope that Houston doesn't experience the same frustration on the other end, and most likely they will. They've had 4 games. Baylor's had theirs. We could get to Friday afternoon, and again, Kansas might say, hey, we can't play. You don't know. And so in this situation, nobody's immune to COVID ruining something.
Exactly. That's one thing I didn't miss about the lack of normalcy, was that at least part of that normalcy was the crazed fans that are just so blinded by their fandom, kind of dissipated and went away a little bit because they didn't really have too much to talk about. And I don't know why Houston fans are complaining about a late cancellation or a cancellation in general when your brand new football coach last year basically canceled your entire football season before it started.
I wish I would have thought about that.
So, for me, you should be used to that disappointment.
This from a coach in college football who tanked
last year.
Like an NBA coach.
Because
they could get Shaq.
He canceled any success they might have had last season. And anything they got was just going to be a byproduct of hard work or whatever. But any legitimate success they could have had last season, he canceled it as the season started, deciding to redshirt a bunch of guys to set up for this year. So, I mean, you should be used to cancellations, Houston fans. Again, your head coach did it to your season last year.
Yeah. Louis C.K., who's now a disgrace.
Speaking of which, Derek King of Miami won the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Weekly Award.
Louis C.K., who's a disgraced comedian, had a great bit about cell phones and flying and how everybody's mad about all this stuff that, is, people get mad at their phone because it's it's so slow. He's like, well, it's going to space. this. Or he was on an airplane, and there was one of the first airplanes that had Wi-Fi, and it said, hey, the stewardess said, hey, this is one of the first flights that has Wi-Fi. He said, oh, great. And he was on YouTube and all that. And then halfway through the flight, they're like, hey, we got to shut the Wi-Fi down. It's not working. And the guy next to him was like, this is nonsense. And he's like, you didn't even know this existed a second ago. That's how the Houston fans are. This game didn't exist a week ago today.
This wasn't even a thing.
Or 2 weeks ago today, this game didn't exist. It didn't exist. And then a week ago today, it was coming up. But you didn't even know it existed until the week before they played it, and you're mad that it's gone?
I haven't had any of all the Cougars fans are on Craig's timeline, and that pisses me off. I want them on mine. But here's the thing. I like the University of Houston.
I have nothing against Houston.
There's a lot of kids that have gone there. I mean, back in the days of Elmer Red, who used to recruit East Texas as well as anyone's ever recruited for a program when he got the kids out of the East Texas area that had those great runs. I love Bill Yeoman and all of that. But Craig, your point, God, I wish I was smart enough to remember. This is from a program that shut it down. And again, I understand they did. And so it's like that doesn't count? That didn't happen?
No, it's okay because they wanted to do that.
Listen, the true measure of crazy fandom is my institution has never done wrong. They can't do wrong because we don't do that on my institution.
The definition of insanity is like an Alabama football. We don't cheat. We don't do any of that. We don't break the rules.
By the way, some big NBA news today is the Bulls have hired Billy Donovan as their next head coach.
Chicago, huh?
Yeah. So, and his contract expired with Oklahoma City, and they just decided to kind of part ways. I think it's a great hire for the Bulls.
And that was somebody who, I don't know how much traction there was, but at least as of a couple of weeks ago, I think whenever the time was when it was announced that he and the Thunder were going to be going their separate ways, I think that was a couple weeks back, there was a lot of chatter about Texas and whether they would go and try and poach him and replace Shaka Smart finally, like we know they've been trying to do or been thinking about doing. And now that's off the table.
I would say if Billy Donovan was like John Calipari was in the NBA, where he went and just completely it was not successful for whatever reason. If he was a bad NBA coach, then that would be one thing. But he's been in the playoffs multiple times, so I mean, I don't think he's going back.
No, apparently he's a guy that likes the NBA. He likes the NBA coaching ranks. So I don't think we're going to see him back in college anytime soon. Well, especially not now. But the pipe dream of him going to Texas to replace Shaka, that's now off the table. And I would like to spend a little bit more time on the Earl Award tomorrow just to kind of outline some of the players, especially now when it's a lot of the smaller schools playing. We could highlight some of these guys that people may not be aware of that are from the state.
All right, let's thank everybody. Brian Bell from China Spring, Ray Biles of Lorena, Pat Combs, former Baylor All-American pitcher. The book, More Than the Score. It's on Amazon.com. Mack Rhoades. With a flamethrower, Baylor Director of Athletics, Billy Embody, PonyStampede.com, David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com, and John McClain of the Houston Chronicle. CJ, thank you, my man. Armstrong, I've got stories on you. Thanks to the 713 Armstrong Sims. CJ's last name, we never say his last name. Howard, C.J. Howard. Halloran. Okay. So you never even said that. Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, or both, whoever you are. I'm David Smoke. Thanks to our great sponsors, but you, the audience, as well. Thank you for listening whenever you do, however long it might be. Back at it tomorrow. Joe Pavelic, and we'll also hear from the broadcast voice of the game coming up Saturday on ESPNU. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.